Hello, everybody.
I hate this.
We're here. I'm here with my co-host, Joy, who's ready to give you guys some serious art tips.
Scritch the neck.
Scritch the neck. That's you want to do your neck scritches before you start drawing. That's very important. Any other tips, Joy? Lick your own chest and shoulders.
Lick your shoulder.
Lick your shoulder. Okay, you want to look over there. That's very important. You want to look over there. Okay, what next?
Who are you?
Look at Julia. That is actually good art advice. Look to Julia for art advice. When you don't know what you're doing,
I'm gonna sit on you.
she'll help you out. All right, what next, Joy?
Who are you?
We got subs coming in. We've already gotten a few subs.
Why? I literally just touched you with my button. You didn't move.
While you're doing this, I will say what they are.
Who are you?
We got subs from Allegretta, Angel of Music, Oreo flavored salsa, Sapphic flautist, the
Are you
Demo.
the flautist that's been outside?
Are you the flautist that's been outside? The Demo Pied, Always Almost, That Clown Anna, Cherry Blood Knight, Bella LaBall gifted 5 subs, Allie Mae subscribed, Slam Dunking Benedetto gifted 5 subs, Severed Zypher subscribes, TKO Musician gifted 5 subs, Soulless Ginger subscribed, Barry Babambus subscribed. Wow, thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the subscriptions. Joy, do you want to move? She closed her eyes.
She's dead ass asleep.
She's going to bed. Victor Belmont subscribed. Atha Bascare gifted 5 subs. Lily Shiloh subscribed. Thank you all so much. Coming out hard with the subs today. It's at 69% hype train right now.
Nice.
Actually, Ireland said, do y'all have merch or plan on having any? We do have merch. And if you're asking about normal merch, it's down in the thing below the stream. We got a link to our store.
It's down
If
there.
you're asking about charity merch for Pride, tomorrow we're going to be doing a bonus stream where we design our charity Pride shirt.
I have many ideas.
And what charity was the? Do you remember the name?
Black Equity?
Black Equity.
I believe that was it.
Is a Black LGBTQ charity. Very, very wide-reaching.
Who are you?
You said what it was.
I did.
Anyways, it's gonna rule. It's gonna rule.
Yeah, Center for Black Equity.
Center for Black Equity. That's the charity we'll be promoting for all sales of this shirt we're designing tomorrow. It'll probably be around 3 p.m. EST, a daytime stream. Digi Ella subscribed. Dino Squish subscribed. Thank you so much. And Joy, we gotta listen. We love you, but you gotta go.
Who are you?
Or you can sit in a lap. Do you see I set that up for you over there?
I did, thank you.
So you could see chat.
Yeah.
I had to kind of change the setup today so that I could reach my tablet. And me and Julia will be like swapping off who's
doing what,
who's drawing and who's doing what. TV's Brent, thank you for subscribing. Infinity Bits, thank you for subscribing. I haven't done an art stream in so long.
That's true. I did one a couple weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. I don't know. Time's relative. 2020.
Who are you?
2020 is the longest and shortest
No
year.
time like the present. Hot Damler gifted 5 tier 1 subs.
Thank you.
I feel like the phrase "there's no time like the present" takes on new meaning when the present is miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're right. There is no time like the present. It sucks so bad.
Yeah. Also, Athabascare subscribed. Thank you.
I thought I said that one, but
no, they gifted subs before.
Who did I say?
think.
They gifted? They did.
Yeah.
You right. You right though. Shall we talk about what we're doing today?
Let's talk about what we're doing today.
This stream was inspired because we were having a talk on one of the other streams where we got talking about art stuff, Q&A-ing. The Dimol Pied is gifted 5 subs. I hope I'm saying that even close to correct. The Demo Ulpied.
Who are you?
Anyways,
Whatever.
we were having an art talk in one of the other streams that was not an art stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about my practice method, the Jacob Andrews patented practice method that
Right.
I invented personally and didn't
Who are you?
just see other people on YouTube doing and then
I mean, that's how you get an
start
art style.
doing myself. This practice method specifically, which I was saying what I like to do is find art that I like, pull it into Photoshop, and then redline it, which is kind of finding the structure of it, and then trying to imitate that, like trying to do the same thing for myself. So I'm going to be doing some of that. I'm going to show you guys how I do it. It's been
Yes, man.
super beneficial for me so far in trying to do it. So I'll show you the process I do, and you can try it for yourself and see how it helps you out. I feel like it really helps twist your brain in new ways. So yeah, and I guess I'll be showing Julia too, because
Yeah. Also, Pomegranate gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Pomegranate. And then after that, if Julia has any jump ins she wants to do for like practicing tips or art, working on your art, like good things to do, Julia's got all her own methods she does. And
Like summoning circle.
summoning circles, and then we will my brain we'll
Go
answer
over-
questions.
yeah, we'll answer
Any
questions.
questions you have, we'll show you, like demonstrate any questions you have, and then we'll also take some of the responses on Twitter we got for people sent us a bunch of art. We'll pull it up and do some critiques.
Maybe I'll do perspective.
Perspective is good. People need that,
People need that.
and you're better at it than anyone else on our show by a large margin.
I just do it more.
That's why
Karina's
you're
also
better
very
at
good
it.
at it.
I feel like if you're better at something, odds are you do it more.
Jenny Cakes just asked me to draw a horse.
This is the horse draw stream. I'm going to switch over to Photoshop
I can't draw a horse.
to my gameplay cam. This is the game of today.
The reels feel subscribed.
The real feel.
Is
I'm
that
gonna
this
scoot.
feel or like the ball?
Or the cow on a sword.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
There's that one too.
What was my other iteration? Oh, the cow. The cat.
Oh yeah, the cat.
Yeah, the cat with the
3
saddle cat.
3 to 4 official spiels.
Many feel.
Pomegranate said they would love to see how you set up some of those Drawtectives backgrounds. I don't know if you have any of those files available to show.
Yeah, I can put them in a drive, and we can. I know exactly where they are.
Maybe like we could put some of those in and you
Yeah.
could show those off, or just show like how you did it.
Yeah, I can.
Either way.
I can do both.
But I'm gonna get started here.
I can get my my big external, and then we can just plug it in and use it from
Big
there.
external.
My big external.
I already got one piece of art here to start with. I pulled this off of ArtStation. It's a good site to go to for like inspiration. It's actually a 3D rendering,
Oh, TB Choi.
but excuse me.
That's the artist who drew the original of this person.
Oh, okay. Well, this render was actually done by someone
Who are you?
different.
Yes.
Yago de Amarim.
Yeah, she
Right
tweeted
here.
about it today. Actually.
So this is a render of a drawing, I guess, by TB Choi. Says it right there.
Yeah.
Good call, Julia.
Thank you.
So
Who are
I
you?
just went through ArtStation, basically looked at like trending, and then just like saw what jumped out at me. And I just really like this because it's a very casual pose, cool outfit, and drawing people standing casually is
tough.
is a skill that everyone should have, like in a weighted sort of way.
Yeah, because everyone kind of just stands like this if you don't know.
Yeah, or they
how to
look
make
like
a
they're
lean.
floating, or they look like
Yeah.
their feet don't quite hit the ground right. And this is like a nice pose that showcases like how a person would actually stand. So
Melindax Page subscribed. Sloth of Shadows gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you very much. And Bagel Teeth subscribed.
thank you all very much. Bless you. It's a stream so soon.
I know.
Do you think
I've
it's the lights?
Yeah, that's part of it.
You think it's the because it
I have
usually
sensitive
always
eyeballs,
is
they
right
make
at the
me-
beginning.
Yeah, bright lights make me sneeze.
So one thing also that I'm looking for when I'm doing this redlining process, when I pick a reference, I pick them for different reasons. So some I'll pick because I'm like, oh, I love that facial expression. So I'll just focus on redlining like the head and the face, like I would zoom in and like
Right.
do it here at this zoom if I was focusing on face. Bless you,
Sorry.
Julia. Sometimes it's like, the upper like hands, maybe like hands, shoulders, body. So you can kind of zoom to like the level that you need of what you need to focus on. For this one, it's like the whole sort of bodily pose. So I want to get it at a zoom that shows everything at once so I can keep in mind the proportions.
Anarkovati gifted a tier 1 sub and 12 Voltman subscribed.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So when breaking this down, first thing I do always is try to find like the circle of the head. So this is kind of like the dome. All heads are circles.
Yeah.
They start with circles, and then you find sort of the middle line of the face, and that kind of determines the angle this way that the head is turning. And then you got your lines that go like over the eyeballs here and the ears to kind of determine like the angle of the face itself. And there's one that goes like under the nose, and then there's one that goes on the chin. And that's kind of like your head. Oh, there's like a hairline one too. We can't see her hairline clearly, but it would probably be somewhere up here. The way these like thirds work out also is a good way to keep in mind how different styles function, like cartoon styles.
That's true.
Like some styles will have like the ratios be different. Like in anime, like the eyes, nose, mouth are usually like closer together and lower than they would be on an actual human head.
Yeah.
So then from there, I would kind of come down and just do basic shapes. The key to this is that you're not tracing the actual drawing. You're doing the structures. Like the ear goes here. And as you're doing it, you're thinking about why each piece is where it is. And like thinking about if you were to draw this, how you would do the same thing. So then usually, and I try to do this fast too, so that I'm not getting hung up on any details. So then I find like the angle of the neck. Sometimes I like to have like a line just to show sort of to go kind of on the front of the chest to show kind of what angle things are leaning at.
The spine line.
Yeah, but in this case, I'm doing it on the front of the chest and not where the spine would be, which would be kind of back here.
Yeah.
Because I'm really focused on just like major shapes here. And a cool thing about doing this is that oftentimes you can use the like hems of clothes and stuff to really get a sense for the turn of the body. So like in this case, this hem right here, the stitching of the sleeve, if you kind of fill that entirely out, you can get this sense of like, okay, so this is like where the body's angled. The other arm would be like over here somewhere. And you can kind of figure out the position of where things would be. You need to be thinking about it in three-dimensional space. So again, not tracing. Like if I were tracing this, I'd be doing something like this, like following the lines themselves and being like, here's a pocket, and here's this, and I'm following every single line, but I'm not really thinking about how these shapes work. That's tracing.
Yeah.
If you're doing structure, you're not tracing. You're actually like putting together sort of the mental of.
You're breaking it down so that you can understand it.
Exactly.
A few subs. Celerity Bart Farst, your mom, subscribed. Thank you. We also got Mazterzoid subscribed, and also Calamity CC. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. And a good practice for this as well when you're finding these shapes is to like actually complete the shapes, the like implied shapes of the different segments. So you'll see like in the drawing, this line here kind of shows where the fabric bunch is. When I'm doing this, I kind of just carry that all the way around and connect it so that I'm seeing like these big geometric forms.
Who are you?
Like you're looking at like one of them anatomical doll things, you know, that they have at art schools.
Yes,
The little
exactly.
wood guys.
And another thing to keep in mind that you can do here is add these lines that showcase the angles that things are turned. So you're really like thinking of everything in a three-dimensional way. And you get good hints about this too from the art itself. Again, the way if you look at this line of the shirt here and this line of the pants, you can then kind of extrapolate from those the other lines that would form the 3D shape. Like following from this curve right here, you can kind of add more curves to showcase like this is how that arm's actually like functioning in a way. And then this one's more straight on as it turns. Stuff like that. Another thing I'm looking for as I go here is there's a thing I do whenever I'm drawing forms, and it's like a basic figure drawing thing. But in my mind, I always call it doing the underwear.
Okay.
And it's when you get down to like the pelvis region, if you draw what like it would look like if it was underwear, like make their pelvis into underwear. So like if this were underwear here, it would kind of come up here, and then there's the butt, and then it would go over this way.
Yeah.
And that would be like the underpants. And that gives you a very clear visual indicator of like, this is the direction the pelvis is turned and where the legs should go.
She does look really proud of her undies now. It's kind of like, you know, again, if you look at a doll where like the little sockets would pop in for the legs, it's like that shape, that pelvis shape in the middle.
Very much so.
We got a few subs.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir Oz the Quail, sorry. Amble Bamble and Gelatin Boy. Thank you all for the sub.
It's thank you all very much. Sorry, I'm kind of in the mental zone.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing this. So you can do that.
It also always helps to draw like a center line on these things to really help just like solidify the shape in your mind.
Fashion diaper.
Then the next thing that I notice when I'm drawing this is the interesting shape here of the pants where they bunch make these cool like polygons. If you simplify everything to straight lines and shapes, you can kind of get a really good sense of how these things function.
Yeah.
And like with this, I'm specifically looking for, I love the way the clothes make the form look. So I'm not focusing on what the body would look like underneath the clothes. Because in that case, you would have like, you know, the thigh here, and then there'd be a knee, and then this comes down like this. And you can like do that stuff too if you want to, depending on what you're working on, you know. So it's like it's different. If you want to do that sort of thing, you can. But I'm specifically looking at the shapes these clothes make, which I think are really rad.
Beanie Duck gifted a tier 1 sub, and also Kapup Stranger gifted a sub. Thank you both.
Thank you. So just to speed up the process here a bit, I'm just turning everything into its most basic possible form, essentially. These are like rectangles. Feet are just weird triangles.
They are weird triangles.
Just fat triangles.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
So there we go. That's the essential sort of like breakdown of this figure. And it's like super sloppy, but in doing it, you learn a lot about the way they've sort of structured this drawing.
That's the essential oils.
Excuse me?
I don't know.
Joe, I need you to get your head in the game, please.
You said it was the essentials.
Don't say essential oils.
And then you took a beat. So the essentials oils.
I love how you're the one who's always the art teacher. And the second you're not art teaching, you're like, this is essential oils, baby.
I'm tired today.
So then after having redlined this, the next thing that's good to do is try and replicate it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take that away. I don't get the guide, and I'm going to attempt to do like very quickly, sort of capture that same shape, because like I've done it once already now, so I kind of can see where the things go, and we're going to try to see how close we can get to doing a similar thing. And this is a pretty crucial part of the whole process.
Is that all thunder?
Yeah, there's thunder outside.
Is it thunder or fireworks again?
It's thunder.
Oh, okay.
You hear the rain, right?
Well, yeah.
It's storming over here.
It's storming over here.
So I'm just going to try to do this as quickly as possible so we don't waste like 100 million years of time. But what I'm remembering here is the way the sort of underwear go.
Mm-hmm.
They go like this.
How big
There's
that
the
underwear
butt.
is.
Then I remember these shapes right here that I made. These big, interesting rectangles. They're not rectangles, but you know what I'm saying.
Trapezoids.
Whatever they are.
Yeah, rhombus.
Then I had these sort of rectangles here, which made little thin rectangles here. And then feet are weird triangles. Tops of the shoes are rectangles. This foot's a little lower than that foot. This is the thing Julia says all the time, but keeping in mind and noticing the relationships of things horizontally is like a key part to doing this well. Like knowing like here's one shoulder, the other one's back here. This is kind of the line of that. Here's the line of the hips. These kind of go like this now, and then you're more like this. So this is kind of the perspective of the piece here.
You can find the horizon line in there.
Exactly. If you followed these lines,
go straight through her crotch.
You would you'd get there.
Who are you?
All right, a few more subs we got. Just Barbarian Boy subscribed. Beanie Duck gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I think that's it.
Thank you all very much. So yeah, this is essentially like the shape of it. There's a hat that goes this way. There's a pigtail that goes this way. There's hair that comes out here. There's glasses. That stuff doesn't matter so much. Okay, so then, and this part's very important, you want to compare how you did. So, I mean, I can obviously see that this is not correct.
Well, you did this in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, so. Well, it's for example here. Like I normally take a little longer, but you do want to go fast also.
Don't get bogged down in the deets.
Because you want to do like a lot of these. Rather than focusing on one for a long time, you want to do a lot of these rapidly. Don't get hung up. So I'll bring this over and I'll resize it a bit so it matches the size of things, more or less. And you can see already where I've made my mistakes. Make that a little bigger.
Well, as you said, you were also doing it in like your style a little bit. Yeah.
Well, totally, but I'm trying to get this pose. Like that was why I picked this option. And you can see I didn't push the pose far enough. If you look at it, if I line up the head angle's not too bad, but I didn't turn it enough. Body angle's not too bad. It's similar, but I didn't push it enough this way. So what I've learned about myself in doing this is that I have a tendency to go more conservative on the poses than what is taking place in reality.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I made the torso shorter than it was. I got the waist up too high. The pelvis crotch area up too high. And this leg didn't come down nearly low enough. And you can line it up in different ways too to see like exactly where you messed up in various areas. So then a thing you can also do is if you're in Photoshop, you can just like move stuff around to be like, this is what it should have been, and kind of get a sense for that. If you had done the sketch good, you know, this is sort of, these legs needed to be in a very different spot. The whole torso and arm needed to be shifted and tilted. And another important facet of this is don't be hard on yourself about it.
Right.
The entire point of doing this exercise is to mess up. What you want to do is do it and do it wrong and see where you did it wrong. And then start to understand a little bit about what your tendencies are.
Yeah, because if you do it fast, you're not going to be thinking. So you're really like going on instinct. So you should see where your natural inclination is so you know to, you know, correct a little bit going forward.
Exactly.
So.
Jay Coma is also correct in saying you can use Liquify to push the pose.
That's true.
If you want to do that. I'm not super familiar with Liquify as a tool, so I kind of stay away from it, but a lot of people like it.
I don't like Liquify, but that's a personal preference.
But it is good to move things around if you need to.
Yeah.
So then another kind of final thing you can do with this pose is...
Bennett Maj subscribed. Thank you.
I usually like to try and do something similar to it. So it's like I've drawn over it now to get a sense, and then I've tried to draw it exactly.
Right.
So then like the next thing I would do would be like, okay, let's take a character in a slightly different but similar pose. And like a different character, you know? So like let's put the head kind of looking like maybe it's looking up this way. And we'll try to sort of use this as an example. of how to make this work. So this might take me a little longer if you would want to
That's fine.
talk to anyone.
Hi, chat. I'm looking at chat. That's why I'm looking over here. Because the thing is down. Hi, chat. People are saying they're learning so much.
Who are you?
Lick the cow. Happy. Subscribed. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Everyone's saying howdy and hi and hello. Hello to you all. First live stream in a while, says Anya's Cove. Welcome back. Yeah, this piece is already... Sorry, I was also reading a comment while I was speaking, which is bad. The original drawing is by TB Choi, and then it was rendered by someone else on ArtStation. The one that's on the left, obviously. The one on the right is still being crafted. So Long was here. Says, also my first live stream on here. Welcome. Welcome to your first live stream.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
How do arm do? Arm do bend. Arm do bend.
Arm do bend, though.
Arm do bend.
Is the thing.
Slam Dunking Benedetto is saying that this is a great stream idea. Loving it so far.
Who are you?
Hello Turtle says that in today's drawfee I gave them some real Jeremy and Michael old man energy. I didn't see that video. I saw that it was up, but I didn't see it. Crafted Jade subscribed and said, "Yay, art stream. Welcome." Binturong. I do know about binturongs. They smell like popcorn. It's basically the only thing I know about binturongs, and I know what they look like for some reason. They're like red pandas, but gray.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
A binturong?
Yeah.
They're like red pandas, but gray. And they smell like popcorn. Yeah, they smell like popcorn.
That sounds fake.
It's not.
Why do you know what an animal smells like?
I was on what? Someone said, Julia, you were on it. What was I on? The old man video?
They're talking about the Droppy episode from today.
Yeah.
You were on that episode of Droppy that went up today?
Yes.
They were saying, I think there's a miscommunication here.
Yes.
They thought you were saying you didn't know what they were talking about with reference to the Droppy episode that went up today.
Ah.
And they were like, well, you were on it, so you should know.
Noah Sam subscribed. Thank you very much. Do I follow a lot of other artists online? Yeah. Basically, I follow artists if there's an art style that I want to emulate, or if they address an issue in my own art that could improve it by just looking at it a hell of a lot. That's what I do. That's what I do. Also, I've been following TB Joy for like years. And then she really started getting into Rainbow Six art. Which I believe this wasn't from that. But she has a whole comic about Rainbow Six. It's interesting. That Klutz is continuing a gift sub they got.
I don't know anything about Rainbow Six.
There's 6 rainbows.
I don't think that has anything to do with Rainbow Six either.
Have I tried 3D rendering? Yes. I know how to use Blender. I should probably relearn that because I haven't done it in a while. Jacob and Julia, who are your top 3 artists that everyone should follow? Nathan, Jacob, and Karina.
Nice. I don't think I have an answer to that, to be honest with you.
I don't have like a best or favorite artist. I think that maybe like the people that I look at the most are Nico Delort on Twitter. He does some wild stuff where basically he paints his tones and shades onto a clay board and then he scratches it away, and then with a marker goes back in and does more lines on top of what he scratched away. And that kind of cross-hatching gives him shading. It's wild. else to say. What's a weakness in my art? Round. Anything round and anything with women. I'm bad at drawing women because I draw everyone just, I don't know. It's a weakness of mine. Pretty is a weakness of mine. Like delicate.
The thing I would like to point out here as I'm doing this is don't hesitate to just lasso your stuff and move it around.
That's true.
It's not like cheating to draw something and then move it or shrink it or change it if you notice that it's not quite right. That's like part of the medium of working digitally. That's like one of the benefits of doing it.
Yeah.
Is that you can make these sort of alterations to get work you're happy with faster.
Use the tools you have available to you, or else there's no point in using it.
Yeah, and also like there's no weird shame in like using a tool to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of weird shade in digital art about that sort of thing, where people are like, you should try to strive to emulate traditional, you know, as much as possible in your digital work. It's like, why? Why should I do that? It's digital work.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make traditional work. I'm trying to make digital work.
Also, a lot of people in chat are saying that my weakness is eggs. That's true.
Eggs is definitely one of your weaknesses.
Yeah, I just can't do it.
Just can't do it.
I had thought of another artist. Oh, someone asked for a concept artist. I follow a lot of concept artists at Naughty Dog. And also Claire Hummel. Claire Hummel is like one of those artists that I just want to be. But she's a totally different style than me.
Try to get some glasses in here.
Sonic is also a weakness of Julia. Yeah, which is weird because he's covered in spikes. Vegeta egg. No, thank you. I think I drew that already somehow.
So here we go. Now that I'm reaching the end of this.
Yeah.
This was just like as fast as I could do it, so I'm not occupying the whole stream. Trying to use what I learned from breaking down this drawing to make another drawing. So things I focused on were sort of the slouchy pose. I changed the head angle just to try and like differentiate a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to focus on how the sort of glasses work on the face, the arm angles for sure, and the big poofy sleeves because I love that.
I like the pushing of the curved torso you did, where he's kind of just like doing this slump.
Yeah, he's doing like a slump, a head up slump. And like already, the cool thing about doing this kind of practice is I can see things in this drawing I just did that was stuff I never would have done literally just before I did this.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have done the arms this way. I wouldn't have pushed the pose this way. I wouldn't have done this kind of shoe. And like it's rough, but it's stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do before. I wouldn't have even thought of it. So every time you do it, you come away with a new sort of thing to add to your skill set. And it's a really, really good way to practice. I think I'll probably do one more with like a face one.
Okay.
And then
go for it.
Pass it over to you.
I think the thing that's important for people to learn now while they are young is that an art style, a personal art style, is nothing more than a series of stuff you really liked in other people's art and took for yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is a pile of your favorite stuff that you made your own.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And a thing that is also important to remember is you can't help but make it your own. If you try to draw exactly like someone you idolize, it's impossible. Yeah. Like something's going to be different, and that's where your style lies.
Well, because you've had a whole other different kind of history and teaching and upbringing and thought process in the art than the artist you're trying to emulate, and that's going to reflect in your style.
Yeah, totally. All right, I actually like this one. Oh, these are so cool.
Oh, I saw this on Twitter earlier
Mondead
today.
Studio. I wasn't trying to do full body. I'll come back to these later because I love these.
That's
These outfits are so cool.
Beanie Duck gifted another sub. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna use this one and just kind of focus on the head, and because I really like these hands, that's why I wanted to.
Yeah.
Why I wanted to do it.
Did I say with syrup? With syrup subscribed and said, art.
So we're gonna slap that right in there.
Yeah, Sarah Alphagi is flipping amazing.
Oh yeah, she rules. She did Brian and Emily's wedding.
Yep.
Picture they have on their wall in their apartment. It's super cool.
She's so good.
Really just get it big.
Usually just if there's a section that you want to copy from, you can also just marquee the whole thing, cut it and paste it, and then you're just working to reshape that.
Yeah. There's a lot of better ways to do almost everything I do.
Well,
it's always been a way I operate. I never do anything the exact easiest way.
Well, it's whatever is best and easiest for you. You know?
Yeah, but it's not even easiest for me. Like if I just learned the other way, it'd be easier for me.
You're making it work.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is the important thing is that you just get in there and do some stuff. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be ideal. Just get in there and do some stuff. This art is by, as I just showed here, Mondead Studio. Mondead Studio. Or that's who posted it here, at least. Oh, it's an art studio. But who did this piece specifically? It just says Mondead Studio.
I'll find out. Because I literally just saw the piece on Twitter.
If you Google Sailor Squad Mondead Studio, I'm sure you can find it. Okay. We're just going to do a quick red line of this. I feel like doing this type of thing for faces especially has been very helpful to me. Of like learning the face structure better, especially for like cartooning. So you kind of get the middle line curve in here, and then you want this line that kind of goes like this over to the ear.
They are Sunman on Twitter.
Sunman on Twitter.
They are from Korea.
And a thing to notice, I should point out, and Julia, you can probably speak to this better as well. When I'm separating faces into thirds and they're cartoon faces, it's not going to fit the exact rules of actual human faces. Normally, if you were doing it, you could go from the base of the ear, like over the like eyebrow, like the brow ridge.
The top of your ear, if you go straight across, hits your eyebrow ridge.
Yes.
Which is the center of the circle that you draw to determine the head.
Yeah. And then the bottom of your ear comes in like right about at the bottom of your nose, where your nose sort of meets your face.
Yeah.
So normally you would have those two lines, and that would dictate sort of where the nose goes. But if you'll notice in this one, if you come from like the ear, you kind of end up in a mid eyeball location.
Mm-hmm.
Because the eyes are much bigger in cartoons. And the noses are usually smaller if it's anime inspired. So if you come from the base of the ear, you're not really going to hit the exact location, but you can find the approximation of where these things would go. Then the next thing I usually look for is I'll put in a little ear circle so I know where that is. And also feel free when you're drawing to like change these lines as you go. Like as I look at it, I'm like, this should be a little more kind of like this. Just feel kind of free with it. Like you don't have to do anything. Nothing's final. You can retry as many times as you want. There's no rules.
Can I give Chad a quick art tip?
Yeah.
While you're talking about ear lines and center lines for faces?
Sure.
So your face works in quarters, basically. So this line here, if you go back, is so basically, okay, I'm trying to think of how to describe this.
Would you rather show this off like visually while drawing? Like after this, or do you just want to talk about it now?
I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
Basically, if you're doing like a 3/4 view, whatever space you have left over of like the far side of the face is the space you'll have left over behind the ear. So like the line that hits the center of the face lines up like inversely with the line that has your ear. I'll draw it later. It's fine. When I'm up to bat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It might be a little easier just to show.
Yeah. I'll show my runes real fast for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
I'm just roughing in some eyes balls here.
Eyes balls.
And seeing kind of where those fall. And then these hands, these gloved hands.
That clown Anna said, "Is it okay to make art as a gift for someone?" If anyone rejects something you've handcrafted for them, they don't deserve a gift.
Yeah.
Dump that person.
I make art as a gift for people all the time.
In the trash.
In the trash. I love these hand shapes. I'm trying to think of any particular hand tips, because I know that's a problem for a lot of people.
Sassy Texan subscribed. Thank you. And also Mostly Very Tired subscribed. Thank you. They said, just had the cash to resub, and I'm glad I could during your night stream. This is really calming, which I can use right now. Thank you for all the great content. Thank you, Mostly Very Tired. Also, if I'm looking over to the side, it's because I have the comments over here. I have the chat over here.
I was trying to think of good hand tips.
Yes.
Whenever I'm drawing hands, I'm usually thinking about the hand part minus fingers and thumb.
Like people usually draw like a little square for that.
Yeah, it's like a square. You can think of it as like a 3D squishy square. And then usually when I'm like roughing in fingers, I'll make them pretty boxy. Like I'll just make them like long rectangles.
Yeah.
Keep in mind too, a lot of people forget there are gaps between your fingers. Even when you close them, you can see light through. And it depends on the fingers obviously, but when a hand is open even a little bit, there's little gaps. So when you're drawing, you don't want to put the fingers like exactly together. And then if you just keep in mind the length of each finger and make sure that's right, there's like so much you can kind of just like BS the rest in some kind of way.
I think a problem that happens with a lot of people, because this is something that happened to me all the time.
So like there's a hand. Sorry to interrupt you, Julia.
Is that you overthink a hand. Get the gesture of the hand. Just like we did the gesture of the body earlier, get the gesture of the hand.
Yeah.
If you want it kind of loose, draw something that's a little loose. Then you figure out if those little noodles you've drawn looks like it's in the right spot, then you can get into the details. Then you can get into the joints. Then you can get into the nitty-gritty details. You don't got to get all that right out the gate, okay?
Totally. The gesture is definitely the most important thing. Another little cheat is you can do this guy right here. Put the middle two fingers together. I see people doing this a lot, and it's really helpful if you're trying to figure it out. And then you can kind of work it out from there. Some people also do they do the 3 fingers together, and then the pinky is separate.
Do you want to learn a weird art tip that a professor taught me, and I think about it every single time I draw hands?
Sure. In
comics, if it's dudes' hands, they chop off the fingers so it's squarey. So it's like squared off like this hand at the top. But if it's a woman's hand, they usually have it curved at the end, like a finger.
Yeah, I have noticed that as well. Like you have kind of a more dainty finger situation. But these are kind of like yaoi hands. The long fingers.
Don't you dare draw yaoi hands on the stream.
I will draw yaoi hands whenever I want to draw yaoi hands. Little ET hands reaching out for you.
Cave Bunny Resident says, what about non-binary person's hands? Triangles. They form into triangles.
They can't be perceived.
So they got little itty bitty scratchers.
They are claws like a werewolf's. Yeah, obviously when we say male and female hands, that kind of defaults to masculine and feminine hands, which defaults to very sort of traditional structures for how to describe the look of it.
Yeah.
The language definitely should
whatever
change.
the hell you want. I draw hands all the time with the masculine rule. Well, it's not even a rule. It's like a tip that my professor told me. Just because I'm more comfortable doing that because it fits my style better, which is geometric as hell.
Yeah. And also just like, you know, being clear, saying like drawing a more masculine hand doesn't mean that you can't be feminine with that type of hand. Like it's not like a social statement as much as it is an artistic one.
It's
like
not
an
that
artistic
Seinfeld
descriptor.
episode.
But I actually do assume that at some point the terminology for that will shift.
I just pictured the whole Seinfeld episode where George yells she's got man hands and a hand comes in, it's just squared off fingers. And yowie hands coming in. Yowie hands.
She's got yowie hands, Jerry.
She's got yowie hands, Jerry.
They're bigger than my head. In any case, I've kind of lost track of what I was doing here.
He's got legs that are too long, Jerry. He's like a spider.
He's got yowie hands.
He's got yowie hands, Jerry.
Anyways, the basic gist of this is whenever I'm just like sitting at my computer practicing, I usually start by doing like 30-second to 1 minute figure drawing for like 20-ish minutes. So I'll pull up like Cinchi Sketch or Sketch Daily or Pose Maniacs or one of those sites and just like run through a bunch of poses as fast as I can. And then the next step I do is I do this, where I just find art I like, redline it, and then try to draw something in a similar style. Like the things I take note of in this style are itty bitty nose, itty bitty mouth, big ol' hands, very long slender neck. Those are kind of the aesthetic markers of this style that I see. So if I were going to do something similar, and the face is kind of like short too, a little on the shorter side. So you can kind of copy some of that.
Copy some of this.
Ears are pretty like geometric. Itty bitty nose. Itty bitty mouth. The eyes are kind of like pretty simple overall. So you could do something like this.
Someone asked for the naming the sites again, if you can. Senshi Sketch, I think is what you said.
Yeah, Senshi, Senshi, SENSHI. They have like a daily sketch sort of thing. Pose Maniacs has a bunch of like 3D renders of like musculature and everything and a bunch of crazy poses. Then there's like Sketch Daily has one of those where it's at like actual models. The Senshi stock one is nice because it doesn't have, I don't think it has any nudes in it. I think everyone's wearing like underwear, so you can do it in public.
Well, that's nice. Someone put the link in the chat. The Ascended Leg, thank you, is putting all them HTMLs, URLs in the chat.
Thank you very much for doing that. Drawing hats too is always like a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Like figuring out
the
how
bill of it is always wild.
How the hat sits on the dang head. So
Thank
this
you,
would
the
be
Ascended
like a
Leg.
good excuse to work on some hat practice.
I keep wanting to say the Ascended Dog, but I think that's because of Sabriel with the disreputable dog, or Liriel rather. So many sites in the chat.
You can look at the ears. Really just look at everything and try to like kind of do a version of that. Bring this like that. And then I kind of want to try to do these like big you know, these big blocky hands. Go like this, big thumb. Gloves, definitely.
Fingerless gloves?
No, they could be. Then we can get like this.
Shaving haircuts. We talking about that real again? With me, always.
Always and forever.
How to draw Kermit the Frog. Yeah, I'll break down the summoning circle for how to draw Kermit.
The Kermit summoning ritual. And see, like, then it's things like this. Like, I drew this hand, and then I realized that the arm that would come out of this hand would not would not ever reasonably reach this body. Whip. Whip. Hey.
They're pulling a One Piece.
So things like that you have to kind of like change on the fly. So you can like adjust it. Then adjust kind of the angle of this a bit. Maybe he's got like a letter jacket on.
Who are you?
J. Paul has a very long comment about how they did a piece in Illustrator, but they feel like they cheated because they did it over another piece of work. If you are experimenting with a style, there's no shame in that. You know?
If you do it and then like, you know, post the work and be like, this is a piece I did, then it gets a little sketchier. If you're like over the top of existing work.
Well, it's like they took
you do it for your own practice.
A screenshot of, you know, the game, Destiny 2, and then they did artwork on top. But I feel like if you're really trying to figure something out, try whatever. Try whatever. Just don't, you know.
Just use your good sense. But whatever is good for practice. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, Crocus Cafe, people are talking about. I use that one all the time. That's the one that I use.
I think it's croaky, right?
Who are you?
Probably.
Isn't it a French word?
Yeah, but I pronounce it like that so people will know what I'm talking about and be able to type it.
So you can be a language trader.
Yeah. Bex Machina Art subscribed, and Iveston gifted a sub. Thank you both. Who's your favorite Common Writer? Common Writer.
I don't know anything about Common Writer, unfortunately. And then you can see here too, as I'm drawing this guy, I'm also factoring in things I learned from the last piece. I got these big poopy sleeves, working at an angle that they were in last time. I can stick it in a pocket in this jacket I invented. I've got this sort of laid back pose that I got from the last drawing I did. So this like stuff isn't perfect, but every time you do it, like I said, you come away with something new. And I think a lot of times where people get stuck is that they want to improve, but they keep doing the same things over and over again. So it's like, I want to improve, but I keep drawing the same dude in the same way every time I practice. So all I'm doing is I'm not expanding my essentially like artistic vocabulary. I'm just like stuck doing the same thing repeatedly, which will make you better at doing that one thing, but you're not going to like grow outside of that unless you're sort of pushing the boundary a little bit. So that's the end of my portion of the show for right now.
Is it my portion of the show?
I think it's your portion of the show.
My portion of the show. You got some things
that you're ready to say.
The technical part.
Technique is for nerds. If you're a nerd, do what Julia says, but if you're cool, do what I say.
Learn the rules so you can break them.
Learn the rules so you can be trapped forever in a prison of art rules.
Should I get my Draw Detective stuff?
Oh.
Is that still happening?
Do you want to do that?
I could do it. I mean, I'm just going to move my hard drive over.
Move your hard drive over. Yeah, should we run ads?
Run ads.
While Julia's doing this, I will run ads. Bella LaBall said, Jacob, how long have you been practicing with this method? Not super long. Like, I've only been doing it for like a month maybe. But I feel like I noticed more progress from doing this than I had from doing like anything else for a really long time. Like, I feel like this helped break me out of sort of an art rut I felt I was in, a stylistic rut. That's why I'm pushing it so hard for people, because if you also feel stuck in an artistic rut, maybe this will get you out of it. It's different for everyone, of course, but always good to try something new. Here comes ads. Ads are running. It's hot in here.
Can you plug this in? I don't know what to plug it into. Or... Oh, I guess probably the hub in the back, huh?
I think it gets weird with the hub.
Gets weird with the hub. Hi, everyone. Do either of you draw with pens and pencils to just doodle? Yeah.
I don't.
Jacob doesn't. I like to draw with pencils sometimes. It just feels nice.
Sometimes it feels nice. Like, I say I don't, but I do, just very rarely. And like, I don't ever see Julia doing it either. She'll do it sometimes.
I'll mostly just doodle and scribble. Like if I'm at my desk and I'm waiting for something to load.
I don't know what I can unplug.
We don't have to do it.
I'll try putting it in the hub and see if it works.
Guys, I'm going to try to draw a horse for y'all. This is my best horse.
Oh, it's coming to life. Bring me to life. Excuse me.
The horse ears are a little like... Whoop. Whoop.
This horse got a sad face.
Well, it's like nostrils sits here somewhere.
Listen, I can't draw a horse to save my damn life, so...
It's something like that.
He just kind of has a snout that's kind of like, He kind of has like the uneasy Kermit face, where Kermit like scrunches up his face and it's like, I don't know.
Well, the scrunched up Kermit face is literally a hand just going,
Yeah.
It's a thumb pushing into the middle of the fingers. So when you look at it, it's doing like a... And then they tilt his head very strategically so everything sits down, and then his eyes kind of fall down. There you go. Now it looks like...
What a drawing lesson this is. Dumpy Kermit riding the world's saddest horse. The horse also has one of those like buzz cut manes.
Yeah.
That makes it look like they just got off active duty.
Anyone who comes back from ads and sees this first thing is going to wonder where we've gone.
This is the Call of Duty horse with his rider Kermit, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Get my chat over here. Get my chat going.
This horse
I wish chat wasn't so small on the screen.
We're back.
Chat. Oh, there we go.
We're back. Hi, everyone.
We're done with ads?
We're done with ads.
Ready for a Julia lesson?
So, to tie it into what you were talking about before, I'm going to go through the summoning circle for a head and kind of touch upon what I was touching upon before. So you have the center circle. This is going to be a head that's straight on because we just got to learn some building blocks here. You have a head that's straight on. Split it down the middle this way, and then we split it down the middle this way. This will be where your eyebrows sit, right? So we bring this down a little bit above this line is where the bottom of your nose is going to be. And if you do that same distance from the top, so like, you know, the distance here is here to here. We're going to do here to here. That's where your hairline's going to be. So, and again, your eyebrows hit your ears, and these are like the rules for faces. Obviously, not every face follows these rules because not everyone looks exactly the same, and life would be boring that way.
This would be like if you took all the faces and got an average.
Right.
It would be this rule.
Well, it's the rules for the world's most beautiful face. You see those articles and it's like, we scientifically proved who's the most attractive human, and it's always whoever is closest to these rules.
It's always the most boring person you could possibly find.
It's the most boring person you could possibly find. So if you go in the middle here, and you go in the middle here, now you have these little Tintin eyes, but that's going to be the center of where your eyes are. So again, your ears start the center, or like right where your eyebrows are, and then your ears end at the bottom of your nose. So you can just go straight across with this. So your ears are going to do that. This is going to go down a little bit below there. Noses go out because this is where that, the two eye sockets are, those holes, goes up into that top ridge. The bones, and then a lot of people have that bump. Then you have this nose that's just a series of 3 circles connected. Then you have eyebrows. Of course, I'm drawing a dude because that's my natural inclination. Sorry, everyone. So you have the center line here, right? Whoops. Here we go.
Do you want the glove, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
Would that help you? I'm sorry it's going to be sweaty inside of it.
That's okay. I have a glove myself. I just don't know where it is.
I mean, I don't mind if you use my glove. If you don't mind it being sweaty in there.
That's fine.
That's fine.
It's not that sweaty in here, actually.
It's fine. You heard it here first, folks.
Slightly damp.
It's fine.
Also, the only reason I know how to draw an ear is because I've just memorized what my ear looks like. So every time I draw an ear, it's mine. So if you go straight down, this is where your mouth is going to end. It goes to the center of your... Whoops. I made that too big.
Can I do a question?
Yeah, what's up?
If and you correct me if I'm wrong on this. If you add in the chin line, the mouth is usually in the middle of the nose line and the chin line, right?
Yes.
So that's a good way to find where the mouth might be.
Yeah. So usually, you go, let's say here. We'll go, it would be, a little bit more curved than that. If that's where our chin is, your mouth is going to be in between these two. That's the midpoint. Also, your tear ducts start at at your nostrils, at the end of your nostrils. So where this flap is, this flap here, if you go straight up, that's where your tear ducts are going to start. That's the start of the eye. All right. So I'm just doing this very quickly. So this isn't going to be the best drawing, but
we're not here to do the best drawing.
No.
We're here to give you basics.
We're here to give you basics.
Eat up these basics.
So I drew a sad fella. Anyway.
He should be riding that horse.
Yeah. And then I'm just thinking about how men's hair is cut. Is that a lot of people just go straight up. So you go up from here, and then you get that curve of that head. So if you flip it, you should have a close approximation to the ideal, as they say. If you... Okay. No, he's a little wide, but you get the idea.
Oh no, his eyes!
It's because I made the nose too far out from me.
His eyes are cracking me up. It's only because you said the ideal and then you put them together and his eyes were looking all over the damn place.
Yeah, it's because I went too far out. the nose.
But this is like also part of the process.
Yeah.
Like you do things and then you correct the things, and that's how you learn and get better.
Well, anyway, you get the point. But the most important part about those sort of rules is that if you do, because this goes on this line and this is here, it's like riding the edges of that circle, the outside of the circle. Because you have it like that and this is the center, that means that you're going to have quadrants. So like this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2. If you have a face that's looking this way and you do a 3/4, that means you're going to have a 3/4 here. And that's where your ear is going to sit.
This part's where you lose me every time.
Am I not explaining it?
No, you are.
Okay.
It's just not, it's one of those rules that I'm like, it's a rule too far for Jacob's caveman brain.
Well, so it's like if you have a beach ball.
I totally understand it.
Yeah. No, I'm making sure that chat understands.
Okay.
So if this person is like, here's a nose, we're like really looking down at this person, right?
Well, that's rude. If
you have this little X here, this is the front of the face where the nose would sit, right? This goes around, this goes around. That means you have 4 quadrants here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I decided to do it that way, but then you have the ear here, you have an ear here, and here's the back of the head. So your ears sit on this line, your nose sits on this line.
Your head's a damn globe.
Your head's a damn globe.
It's time to accept that your head is a damn globe.
So, and then you have, because it sits in that eye socket, it goes in, because this is all squish in this hole, you know, then your eyes pop out a little bit, and then you got the cheekbones, and then you come in and you do that. And then your ears sit here-ish. There you go, goes there. And then you get that. Yeah.
Whoop.
Anyway. That's the general like mapping out rule. So if you go to any direction, you can follow these like quadrants here. So this quadrant would be like this one here. If I were to take another color, it would be this thing. You know, that's this angle here. Other art rules is that your eye is 1 eye length apart from the next eye. Unless you're this wide boy.
This wide boy got a couple eyes in there.
So if you should be able to put one of your eyes in between both eyes. And that's the distance of the eyes.
And if you open that eye, you can see into people's minds.
Mm-hmm. Other weird measurements. Your foot is the distance between your elbow joint here and here. That's your foot size, which is also the size of your head. See? So your foot is supposed to be the size of your head. So if you're measuring a whole body and you want to go by, you know, human proportions and not, I guess, realistic proportions, that would be it. Let's do perspective.
You want to do perspective?
Let's do perspective.
Go for it.
Jacob covered most of like the drawing people.
I feel like I should say, now that you've done sort of the head breakdown thing, the only reason I think that doing the redlining and redrawing works so well for me is because I have done a lot of practice in those fundamentals Julia was talking about.
Yeah.
So like I've watched basically watched YouTube videos. The best way to learn is watching YouTube videos. You all already know this. Mm-hmm. I watch YouTube videos about how all of the parts are, you know, how you construct them, like Julia just showed, and then did that a lot on a lot of different bodies so that I knew kind of how it all went together vaguely. And that makes the other practice for stylizing that much more effective, I think. So the fundamentals are definitely, they got to be there to some degree before you can start styling on them.
Yeah, you got to know the rules to break the rules.
Yeah.
You can't break rules if you don't know they're not rules. So, perspective. I'm going to do 1 point perspective because that's where you're supposed to start off. There's only 1 point. If you don't know that basic, doing 2 point is hard. So you're going to start off with a horizon line. Right? Well, let's say your perspective is here. That's your, like, vanishing point, as it's called. If you look at a Stanley Kubrick movie, there's always a long hallway shot, right? Of just someone standing at the end of the hall, like in The Shining, or, I don't know, any one of his other movies. So, they always do like a square receding into the distance or whatever. If you start a square that's looking at us, right? Because you got that flat surface. You just want to go back to that horizon line.
That good shit.
Then you cut it off.
Those classic cubes.
That's your first cube. There we go.
All of perspective is just like drawing cubes in space.
It is a lot of cubes in space. Same thing. If you put something on the ground and you want it receding, there you go. Go back. See? So you have that. If you have something sitting, make these go back into the point.
There's chanting outside. I think the protest is nearby right now.
Are they marching down our block?
They might be. I don't see anyone on our block, though.
Sounds like they're coming. You want to take a gander?
I'll take a look while you draw perspective.
Okay. And clapping out the window for Black Lives Matter, and hell yeah, get on that.
But I don't see nobody out there.
It's a lot of I think it's people yelling from their windows, which this is a really weird time to be doing it, but I'm all about it. So I'm gonna scoot over again. I got shifted over to the left. I think they are walking down our block.
There's nobody out there.
It sounds like they're over there. Or are they just yelling still?
I mean, I think there are people walking somewhere, but I can't see them.
People are setting off car alarms, their own cars. People are clapping. People are banging on pots and pans. People were chanting Black Lives Matter. I would bring y'all over there, but there's literally nothing to see.
What?
If people were out there, I would take a picture and post it, but... So...
People are yelling around.
People are yelling around. So 2 point perspective.
Don't they know it's past curfew?
My God.
And you must respect the law.
I think that might be their protest, is that they're protesting from their homes after curfew, which is...
Who are you?
Man, that would be a dope way to do it. Coronalingus, thank you for the sub.
You doing 2 point?
Yeah. So now we have 2 point perspective. We have a square here, right? Since this is on the left side, we're going to go to the points on the left side. Or else this thing's going to get all twisty. Whoop. 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 Well.
What kind of shape is this?
I don't know.
Did you just make a parallelogram?
A parallelogram. Oh, I guess it would actually be... Sorry, everyone.
Julia mind flooded herself.
I did. Sorry, there's a lot happening.
She went in her mind palace.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in the neighborhood right now. In the neighborhood of my brain. There we go.
Now this is a cube in 2 point perspective.
Yeah, I was like, that other one's a rhombus. What happened? Anyway, that's a cube.
That other cube betrayed you.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway. That would be a cube. So the way that you would do a room... and this is the way that a lot of people do rooms when they're doing backgrounds. Let's say you have an office, right? We're just gonna generally guess. We're gonna guess an office.
You're gonna draw the office?
I'm gonna draw the office.
Where's Michael Scott? Is he there?
The show that I love so much, The Office.
Make sure you get Jim and Pam. They're flirting probably at the front desk.
I'm gonna draw what I think The Office looks like, a show that I've definitely seen and watched.
What do you think Dwight's up to?
Dwight's
that's Garfield. Did you mean to draw Garfield?
Dwight's Garfield, right?
Is Dwight skinny Garfield? That's Phoenix Wright. That's Big City Greens. You drew Big City Greens.
Is this Dwight of The Office? Okay.
Where's the office?
Okay.
I do have the hard drive plugged in too if you want to show the Drawtective stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna reverse engineer that in a moment. So this is basically how I drew the Drawtectives backgrounds, was that, first of all, I would draw a floor plan. I would say desk here, bookshelf here, bookshelf here. You can have a table here, 2 chairs, bookshelf, or window. And then you can do some like weird perspective stuff and then work out from there. But in the beginning, I think this is a good way to practice. Okay, we got some molding here. We have, I don't know, a computer monitor here. Dinky monitor. We have, boink, boink. Maybe we have a bookshelf. And then we have...
There's no books in the office. Only paper. They're a paper company. You got a balloon animal. This is Only Paper Incorporated.
Okay. So that's like our sketch of what this office is, right? So then we have like a little window, whatever. So we know generally where we're leading the eye. So what you can do, and this is something you can do if you have a ruler, you can just, angle it. Some people do this thing where they use a piece of string, and then at the end they have like a little tack, and they'll tack it into their desk or whatever, and then they'll pivot from there. I do essentially that, but with the pen tool. So if I want to reverse engineer, hi Olive, I'll move this around.
Oh, you got that pen tool.
Right.
My old nemesis.
By the way, if you're new to the pen tool, when you're using the pen, make sure that it's on paths mode at the top here, because it's going to start making a shape and start autofilling. It's wild. And to move one point...
Flute guy's out.
Flute guy's out.
Everybody was out there cheering, and then as soon as it went silent, Flute guy came out and started running his flute scales.
Bard is here. Hold control. Hold control, and it'll switch to this white little cursor, and you can pick up and move a point. So let's say, how does that look? That looks good. So we found this point. Something that I like to do is I like to get out the ruler in Photoshop, which you can do by hitting Control R, but it's also in Window, Show Ruler, or Extras Ruler. And I like to click, hold, and drag, and you'll start seeing this little line going across, and I like to put it where the anchor point is. This is just in case I like accidentally delete my pen line, and then I bring this and I bring it down. And that, oh, I'm right on the edge of the canvas.
Wow, look at that.
That's cool. So on another layer, which we already have. Oh my god, scrubby zoom. Sorry, everyone. I'll take a pen in a different color, and I like to work in red. And I'll go across, and I'll just follow these lines because I know they're going into this perspective, right? And see, I'm just moving that one anchor point, so you can see that this one hasn't budged. Because that is our vanishing point. We were talking about, when we were doing this exercise before, that point where everything is going to is called the vanishing point. This one, these two are the vanishing points. So those are the two vanishing points for the two perspectives. And then we're going to get the back here. I'm just going to go straight across. There we go. We'll get the bottom of the desk by doing this. And then we can go straight down. So for the other point, we have our horizon line with this line that's going across, and we found it when we made this little X. If we go to paths, first of all, we can save this. I usually call this left because I'm a complicated human. But
it is left.
It is left, yeah.
I don't think that's complicated.
I think a lot of people would call it something cooler. Probably. So I'm just trying to figure out where the best place to put this is. See, like, my perspective for all of these is a little off. Which is fine. That was a sketch. So then, we kind of just make everything connect according to that line that I drew.
Oh, this desk is getting a change up.
Yeah.
This desk is getting a glow up.
And so since it's 2-point, you know that all the verticals are going to be vertical unless there's like something else going on.
Unless you have a third point.
And then that's 3-point perspective, which I can also get into if everyone wants to get into it. Okay.
3-point too scary.
Let me just go straight down. We can get rid of this back line here. This bookshelf is against the wall. Let's say this is the corner of the room. Let's say that the bookshelf is sitting into that corner. So we're going to take this point. Do this. Right. Then we're going to go straight like that. Then I'm going to name this old righty. We'll go back to our left point, which was saved before, but just by clicking it. And then we move this guy, and that's going to be where our bookshelf ends. And then we can get our right one back on. We can guesstimate where this desk ends. If we had that line that I didn't erase from the back wall, we can line it up there. I mean, we can kind of guess here. And then we go straight up, and that's the back of the bookshelf. So everything sits so nicely. And then remember thickness. Please remember thickness.
Remember thickness. Hashtag remember thickness.
So everything's going to be like, a bit off of the wall. And then if you want the shelves, you just use this left point. Go across. Go across. Go across.
So it's essentially just a lot of meticulous construction.
Yeah.
Once you've established your points, it's all just
basically
moving points and constructing.
Yeah, it's all building. It's very after a while it's no think just do. Once you figure out the general idea for your room, which is the hardest part, I think, doing all this is not that hard. You just gotta figure out what you want where.
Can we take a look at the Drawtectives?
Yeah.
One of the Drawtectives ones?
Yeah. So
that's... I do still want to do art critiques too before.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm going to hide the display for a second.
Just go back to starting soon.
Oh, I was just going to hide the display capture.
You can just go to starting soon, and that will do it all for you. They can still hear us. We can still talk and chat.
But they can't see us.
That's fine.
Which one's
It's
mine?
elements.
Yeah, there's 2. Okay. You know what? I have, because those are all going to be flats. So I have.
She looking, y'all.
I'm looking. Bear with me. I found it. Jacob, don't look. They're spoilies.
Oh my god. I saw the word kitchen.
What's a good one to talk about? What room did you go to already?
We've been to the kitchen. We've been to the outside. We've been to the dining room.
I think you guys went here already. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we've been there.
Okay.
Put it. No, not that
Nope.
one. Gameplay. Yep.
Got it.
Got it.
I was confused because we're not doing games.
Games.
Okay. So, you can see all of my layers here. I think all of these are color line.
They're a little blocked by our webcam. I don't know if you want to switch to Drawfee real quick just to show off the layers.
Oh, yeah. There's all my layers, y'all. But most of those are color ones. Okay. Gameplay. I'm just hiding all the...
It's disappearing.
It's disappearing, isn't it?
I didn't even realize you did that floor wood paneling. Oh my god. Oh my god, Julia. Why did you do that?
So I forgot to talk about the fact that the most complicated thing to do in perspective is curves. So if you want to do an arch, here's how you do it. Just real fast.
Oh my god. I remember you showing me this and I hated every second of it.
Yeah, are you ready? You ready for this? Because this is how I had to do the damn spiral staircase that I did for the show.
Julia's going to show you her method and I'm going to tell you the Jacob method of how to do it.
Let's do a point here, right? So we're going to make another square. Right. I should have made this square bigger. Right.
You could zoom in on it.
That's true. But this time I'm going to make the whole thing. I'm just going to draw the whole thing, right? The whole dang thing. Let's get rid of all these lines because it's going to get complicated real fast. But it's not that hard. It looks very intense and complicated. I think I still have like the model I did for the staircase just because it was a lot. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find the midpoint from here to here. What I did to find the midpoint was that on a new layer, I made one that was next to it, and then I saw like the crosshairs for it, and then I just went there. And then I used my... Right? Yeah. I'm just gonna do this real quick like. That would actually be a little above. So if we find the midpoint of every flat facing square, right? And we connect them, we go straight down. It's like wrapping a gift. Go straight down, then we go straight across, right? So now we just have basically the square 4 sides, and then we split each square into 4 bits, right? So then what you want to do, this is to like make a cylinder into perspective. You do a curve here, 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 so that you're always taking a little bit of the corner out. So this would actually be more. But you're always staying within the confines of the box. And then you can go straight down. Well, you should be able to go straight down if I did that right. Not super fast. That's how you find like the cylinder in perspective, because the angles for the tops and the bottoms are going to be different. So, I mean, you could also do this with the circle path tool again. You can kind of get this approximation and then like stretch and squish it to fit. You know, you can, oh, it's on shape. Because that is the de facto thing. So if you want to do it like that, and then you just distort it and pull it so that each 4 of the points, because I did this on the wrong layer. Let's do this again. So you see that you have 4 anchor points. You can line them up. If I did that right. I'm on skew, aren't I? That's okay. You can line them up to the 4 points of the square you drew. And that's how you'll get the circle in perspective. Then you go, straight up, and then you can do the same thing for the circle that way. So that's how you do a cylinder in perspective, and you can also do arches like that, because if you have, like, for when I did the circular, I did a staircase that kind of goes up, but the horizon line was here. What I did was that I had this outer square for this outer, like, circular shape going up, because again, the horizon was, like, splitting it. And then for the inside, I drew another smaller circle with all 4 sides split into quadrants, and then that's how you find the center arch or circle or cylinder. Everything's made out of squares. Does that make any sense?
It makes sense. It's just absolutely painful for me.
It's wild.
It's like all of the stuff I don't like about drawing in one thing.
Yeah.
I'm not minded for that.
So you can see here, I'm actually going to put this on 50% gray. So you can see the lines a little bit better. So you can see that I have that quadrant that I made for the points. The center line for the vertical, and this is the horizon line of the room. And I have this center point, and everything in this room goes back into, like, these beams go back into it. This semicircle was made from connecting these walls, like just going straight across and then going back into perspective, meeting them, and then building out the square where that curve would be made so that could follow perspective.
I feel like it's also worth noting for people watching that Julia accounted for the position of the spiral staircase in the building so that rooms that touched the spiral staircase would have this circular wall to account for the physical space it would actually occupy.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing that nobody would ever know or notice. Like, if you didn't do it, none of us would have seen the room and been like, wasn't there on the blueprint a staircase? But, like, the way Julia's mind works, like, it has to be right for Julia.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those little things where I was just like, that's insane.
Like, why?
It's very cool. It's very cool, but it's totally wild.
I'm going to pull up the map just so you guys can see what he's talking about. Jacob, don't look at the screen.
I don't look anywhere.
Who are you?
Who are you? Pomegranate gifted a sub. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, here is the layout I did of the house, right? Here's the ground floor. This is the spiral staircase I was talking about. Every time we, are standing in the hallway, we're standing around here. So, this parlor has this semi-curved wall right here. And this is the parlor room, and that's that semi-curved wall.
So like the entry to the parlor would be over here,
Yeah,
on the right, and we're standing like in the room,
right.
and it like accounts for both the position and the size.
Yeah,
The circles you made mathematically account for the size of what the spiral staircase chamber.
yeah.
Like you could build a building and it would function based on the rooms Julia drew.
Right.
That's the wildest shit to me.
Yeah, and if you lay, hold on, I'll turn this off for a second. If you lay the, hopefully there's no spoilers here. There's not. So if you lay these two layouts on top of each other, they will work. Like this blacked out area is because it goes straight down to the first floor. And then this is just to like break up and differentiate the floor plans. But a lot of the like supporting pillars work out here. Like those line up on the outside wall. And these general shapes work because of a stupid rule that I decided that I wanted to make for myself, which was if the house can stand.
And then here's what I want everyone to think about. Julia did all of this behind the scenes to this building in this house. And then she let me and Nathan and Karina go into it and literally just take big dookie shits all over everything constantly.
Yeah. I mean, that was the point of the show.
That was the point of the show. And you went into it knowing that.
Yeah.
And you did all of this, and then we did doo-doos on it.
Yeah. The other thing...
It's still amazing.
Thank you.
I feel like it's a really great accomplishment.
Well, the most annoying part and the hardest part that I had with the house, and again, this is a weird, stupid rule that I had decided that I wanted to instate for myself, is because I wanted the house to be like a house that you could stand in and that felt real, that worked, that like even in the back of your brain, you were like, oh, this is like a real place. I took into account the heights of the characters and the heights of the building, like of the floors. So I wanted the first floor to be really, really tall. So I measured out in feet. Like I figured out, my grandpa was an architect, he was a building project manager. Just like when they were building things, he got everyone together to build the damn thing. So I measured out like how tall things would be, and then that was my metric for each room. But that's also overthinking it. You don't have to do that. The only thing you really have to think about is, can you live in this space? Like, does it feel right? So like, I have everything set from the character that's like a little bit taller, who's a little above the scene, who's looking down at things, because not everything's going to be on your eye level, unless you're very tiny. So basically I swiveled around this point, and I just remembered to take into account the thickness of things, like the molding here, which is a detail, just to give it a little bit more depth, is popping out from the wall, and then I have another one to kind of have that like cabin-y feel, and then I have these beams. So I drew like the sketch for this, and I don't think I have the sketch here because I was running out of space, but I drew the sketch for it, and then I just did a few of like the most important horizon ones that kind of set my guide. Like I probably started with this line here to figure out my floor, my ceiling, and then I went up and down with this corner and went out with this, and then I just kept building from there. But yeah, everything kind of... Oh, and the chimney's curved too, because the wall is curved, and I, for some reason, thought that was very important. But it's not really. But,
it's wild style. You went fully wild style on this.
I did. my lights and my, whoops. There we go. And then for the floorboards, I had a separate line. I forgot actually where it is, but I may have deleted it.
You didn't want to see it ever again.
I didn't want to see it. I set 2 different anchor points for these main beams and then the smaller like slats. And then I just made sure that they crisscrossed too for some reason because I like drawing floors. Like this one's over, this one's under, this one's over, that one's under.
Sure is.
So it's doing like a weave.
It is doing a weave.
It's doing a weaving. But yeah.
Who are you?
For some reason I just felt it was important.
And then you did make paintings for the walls.
Well, the paintings, because I got tired.
Well, those came from your comic.
Yeah, the paintings came from that comic that I did.
But you did make them.
I did make them, yeah. And then I just copied and pasted them and fit them into the frames.
The Justice family is a big fan of your comics.
I thought they fit the theme of a hunting room. I also made, I should say, patterns. If you don't know how to make patterns, I would look that up. The pattern tool can help a lot with wallpapers. There's one room that has detailed wallpaper, and basically how I made it was that I made one square of the wallpaper and then I turned it into a pattern brush, and then I went across the whole thing, and then I just used skew to meet the perspective of the walls so that it would go back into perspective, and it just looked really nice and didn't take me long at all. So
that's cool tips. Why'd you look at that?
Because there's no color on it, and I don't know where it went. Did I finish that? I didn't. Well.
Oh my god. Drawtectives is a sham.
Cancel the show. It's trash.
I'll log immediately onto Drawfee and delete the existing episodes.
I'll see if I can get because the hallway, which is, oh, you know what? I should do the outside of the house, actually. I should do... the front.
Jesus Lord.
Okay, hold on. I have the front, and then I want... No, the hallway is here.
I can't wait for people to see this because it makes me want to barf.
There we go.
These both make me want to barf. Show the other one first. Well, this one's good too.
Well, you can see this.
You can escalate how much I want to barf, starting with this one.
See?
There it is. The cubes.
The cubes.
The cubes in the cylinder. With the other cube in the middle. It's in action, baby.
God.
There it is. This is how Julia works. She lives in this hellscape.
So, as I was explaining before about the spiral staircase, I made a square in perspective, fitting to the vanishing point, all of them going into the vanishing point. I found the mid for each wall, and then I found the circle for the outside, and then I drew another square that fit in the center of that bigger square and found the inside circle so it would fit in perspective. So you have these two ominous
donuts,
glowing donuts, and then I drew the staircase in the middle, and you can see that it, like, this line goes into perspective, and so does that one. But then I did that for every single one of these stairs, and yep, that goes into the middle.
I feel like the nastiest thing is that this all took you a while to do, but it didn't take you that long.
It didn't.
That's what really makes me sick to my stomach to think about. Like, this wasn't like a year of work.
No.
This was like, how long would you say for all these backgrounds?
All the backgrounds.
It's like 3 months?
Yeah. Everything was probably 3 months. Preparing for Drawtectives was like 3 months.
And to be clear also, you were doing that while doing other things. It wasn't like all you were doing.
Yeah. This was in my spare time.
Yeah, this was your spare time work for 3 months.
You like my door?
Door.
My door.
Oh, door. That's what they should have named Hodor.
Door?
Yeah. Maybe it would have been too on the nose.
Maybe. I was hoping that I would still have it. And maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Oh no, it's for the outside. So the outside of the house.
This is that nasty pick. This is that nasty pick that I hate.
That nasty pick that you hate.
It's just from like a number of lines perspective.
Right.
It makes me nervous in a good way.
What is top? Oh.
Top and door.
So the way that I did this was that I took the floor plan that I had drawn before, like the map, and I put it into here, and then I put it into perspective so that it would help me figure out kind of the baseline of this thing. So you can see like that lines up with the patio, and that was just before I transformed it to fit this thing.
Oh, I just remembered too.
What?
When you were drawing this one, you had it like nearly done, and you showed it to me and we talked about it. And then we both decided that the perspective should be moved.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we were too high up as the viewer.
Yeah.
And so you did it all again.
I did do it all again. This is also 3-point perspective, I should say. You
did it all again.
I did do it all again. You can see my third point is hella up there.
In the heavens.
It's in the heavens because I didn't want it to be too looming. So it's all the way up there. See, so everything goes back so that it's like this big, ominous, like reaching over you kind of thing. Also, this is what I was talking about. I measured everything. I measured everything according to how tall I think that people should be to sit in this place. Yeah. I literally had a marker that was a foot height thing. It would be like, this is 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot. And I went up to like 10, and then I measured my rooms like that. I would find one wall and just measure like that. But that was also going too far. You don't gotta go that far.
But you can is the thing.
You can figure it out. I mean, architects do it all the time. If anyone can do anything, you can do it too. Is my philosophy.
But you did it so that I could make a orc who goes in and pisses on things inside of it.
That episode hasn't even come out, but we talk about it so much. Oh, I forgot to talk about my hedges. I completely forgot I did this for the hedges. So for the hedges, I wanted individual like squares originally, and then I decided that it was too much, that it would just look better if it was like one wall hedge. So you can still see where I had drawn the original cubes going back into perspective. Yeah. For some reason, I started coloring on that one. I don't know why. Anyway.
It makes me so tired.
But
that's why you do this work.
Yeah.
This like appeals to you.
There's something to turning my brain off and just problem solving that's really nice. You know? Oh, also a tip for anyone doing anything with art, where if you don't know if you want to do something, but you're like scared to erase your lines, rather than duplicate the layer, work on another line layer or whatever. For example, this building here has this line that's cutting through the hedges, so you need to like cover that up, right? The flatus is going nuts. I made a clipping layer here, which
it's a mask.
It's a mask. So like
they can't see though because our camera's in the way of the layers.
Oh, I'll go to the
take it to Drawfee.
Take it to Drawfee. So if I had this guy, if I press this button over here, down here, boop, I click it. Now you have this little guy next door. You can only work in black and white, and anything while you have this layer selected, anything that you cover over with black is going to be temporarily erased, so you can test something out. And if you don't like it, you can just delete that layer. Delete. And it goes back again.
You don't even have to delete it. You can just turn off the...
Yeah, you could just shift click it.
To turn off the visibility of it.
Also, if you don't know like where your mask is, if you hold or if you press /. Oh, he has little cheekies.
Oh, he's blushing.
You get this little red splotch, and it tells you where your clipping mask is.
It's a super helpful tool that Julia actually taught me how to use, and now I use it all the time.
Yeah. Also, another quick tip. I know we'll get to the art submissions in a sec.
Well, we have 7 minutes left in the stream.
I guess we'll have to do another art stream or something.
But we can also go long if we want to. We can decide
true.
what we want to do.
Super helpful tip for... Well, that window's closed.
It's open.
That one.
Yeah, but it's also just muggy outside.
It is muggy. So if you want to do shading, but you don't want to ruin the color that's on that layer, you can do Control-Alt-G. What is that on Mac?
Command-Option-G.
Command-Option-G. You'll get this little dented in layer. And that means that anything you draw on that will only apply to the layer that's beneath it.
I do have a better shortcut for that.
Okay.
That's easier.
What is it?
If you just have a layer and then you make a new layer on top and then you shift click in between the layers, it will make the layer on top a clipping mask.
Okay. See, I'm all about the keyboard shortcuts.
Well, this is a keyboard shortcut.
Yes.
Kind of. It's partially a keyboard shortcut.
It's partially a keyboard shortcut.
You just don't want to have to hit Command-Option-G. That's crazy. The craziest one I do, though, is the Save for Web and Devices shortcut. Do you use that one?
No.
Whenever I'm like exporting an image, it's... I don't even remember. Like, it's like muscle memory because it's 4 keys. On PC, it's Alt-Control-Shift-S.
Oh. Oh, dang.
And it brings up Save for Web.
Okay.
That's the dumbest one I use by far. Control-Alt-Shift-S. And I do it every time. It's like muscle memory to do it now.
Yeah. So this is that mask that I was talking about. You can color all the way out here, and it won't show up unless you unclipping mask it. Then you'll see where I went out. But yeah, it just makes it so that it applies only to the one below.
This is a cute friend.
Thanks. Should we do art submissions?
Let's do some art submissions.
I'm not going to save that. I'm also not going to save this.
Let's do some art. Can I swip back in for a bit?
Yeah, I'm also going to put you back on that.
What'd you put me on?
I put the webcam back.
What did you put me on?
Oh my goodness.
There's things that Julia is very good at. And this stuff is one of those things.
It's anything building related. It's like, I can do perspective because I think very like technically and buildy.
I was thinking while I was thinking back on you making all of the Drawtectives backgrounds, I realized that you're literally like the lawful good of artists. Like you draw to the letter of the law.
That's true.
And you have like it must be right and it must be just.
Yeah.
Like there's a sense of justice to the way you draw that like is
justice.
It really is. It's like, well, it has to be right and it has to make sense and it has to function.
Well, because I don't have faith. So here's the thing that I've always had a hard time with in art is that I don't.
Sorry, I'm struggling with my microphone arm.
I don't understand. I think it's the knob in the middle that would help. That other one just keeps it from rotating. Oh. I see your problem.
You see my problem?
Yeah.
Sometimes it wants to be a little...
Is there a knob in the back on the other?
No, it's just being difficult. Sometimes it's just difficult.
So anyway, so I don't I never like could get a handle on how much you could cheat something so that it would still read, and I never knew how to push it because I always drew from reference and I didn't do comics until I started working at Dorkly. So I never knew how to simplify something so that it's still read. So, you know, because my art style is kind of technical naturally, you might as well pull up the tweet and then just look at the replies.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So you're not seeing a billion threads. You know, if you are a very technical artist and then you find a shortcut in one little corner, people are going to go, oh, that's a weird corner, because it doesn't fit stylistically with the rest of it. So I was always very self-conscious about that. So I just decided to follow all the rules because I don't know how to cheat.
But it works for you.
But it works for me.
That like then comprises your style.
I overthink my art style. I overthink the art that I do, rather.
I want to start here by just showing off some cool stuff.
Yeah, do it.
This is from... Just do it this way. Boop. Oh, you got these rulers up here. How do I make them go away?
Control R.
That makes sense. Somebody's doing a secret sleepover cross stitch. It's at Clusterfunks. Steph. I need to have this here too. I just wanted to show this off because it's cool.
Look at this wonderful cross stitch. Also, if you don't show off your art, it's not because we don't like it. It's just because it maybe pertains to something we were talking about today.
Yeah, well, I got like some stuff that I think is like, I don't really have any notes for. Like this one here is from Anna the Clod. And I think it's just really cute.
It is really cute.
I don't really have notes for it. It's because like it has such a strong sense of style to it.
It's so consistent. And
it's so consistent, exactly. If there's a difference between like things that are in a style, but you can tell that some things don't fit, and so it feels off. This is in a style that's very consistent through and through. So there's really not much of a critique you can make, because it's like it all fits.
Yeah.
Nothing jumps out to me and says like, oh, that looks weird.
The biggest rule of art is if you're going to try a thing, just do it throughout.
Yeah.
Is my hair tie over there? It's behind your keyboard? Oh, yeah. Thanks. Just do it consistently throughout, and it'll all read as one piece, you know?
This one we actually talked about, so I'll bring this in.
Yeah, I want to talk about this one.
This one from at VWags.
VWags.
Which, let me make these other ones go away here. Which I thought was really cool and like has a very like strong sort of line work to it. But there were a couple things we saw that we thought could make it hit that next level.
Yeah. If we talk or discuss your art in a way where we're like, here are some notes, it's not because we think the art is bad. We are just trying to give you some tips that you can take it or leave it.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
We're just showing you what we see and how we would do it if we were to make this piece ourselves.
That is absolutely correct. The first thing that we both noticed when we saw it actually was
is that it's rad.
Is that it's rad. I saw it and I was like, that's rad. The next thing I noticed was, and it's always like when I'm looking to critique, I'm looking for like, what's the one thing or the first thing that jumps out to me and makes me like takes me out of the experience of viewing it, to say like, oh, that's a little weird. And it was this line right here.
Such a tiny thing. It's
such a tiny thing, but this line, the place that it's at, and I'm just gonna kind of do a color.
You know what you should do actually on a new layer? Just eyedrop all layers and then just color over it on a new layer so you can click on and off.
Oh, that's a good idea, Julia.
So you can see the before and after.
Julia, that's a good idea.
Thanks, man.
I need a different brush. Give me that pressure sensitivity. Because of the way this arm is, this line makes it seem like the arm is bending backwards.
Right.
Because it implies that the bicep area here, I can't see myself in the webcam because I don't have this up. It makes it seem like the bicep area here is overlapping the forearm.
Meaning that if you usually do that, it's because it's going back.
Yeah,
because
your
this
arm would
shape,
be twisting back.
this cylinder is going in front of this cylinder, where it should be because of the indication of you can see a little bit of the back, and you can see a little bit of like this, you know, chest line here, indicates that this character is turning towards us.
Yes.
So you would have this cylinder, if it were a basic building block shape, sit in front of this cylinder.
Exactly. So you put that one line like this coming down from the forearm instead, because the forearm would be, if I like were to turn on opacity here and show you the shapes, the forearm's connecting like this.
V-Wags is here now.
Here's the connection point. So it's connecting around like this.
Yep.
So that shape would be overlapping in front of, keep getting my arm out of it. If you look at my arm, you see how the line comes down from here like this when my arm is moving forward like that? So just by changing that one line, and like Julia said, I can turn this off here, and you can see, it looks like in this one that the arm is twisted back, and if we change that one line, it looks like now it's
coming forward and at you.
Coming forward and at you and a bit straight up, which is how it would be in this pose. So that's like a small shift that already just makes the pose read a bit better, and that's just a construction thing.
Yeah, that's it. It's just what shape is in front and what shape is in back.
Yeah. I also want to say, V-Wags, if you are in the chat.
They are in the chat, yes.
You did very good with like general anatomy and proportion.
Absolutely.
The only other thing that I noticed, and I'm actually going to, my Photoshop's been acting up lately. Sometimes I have to switch to the mouse to make it change layers.
Oh, that's weird.
Appropriately. We'll turn that off for now. I'm actually going to like redline your piece, because this is a good way to find anatomy mistakes, is to redline your own piece. It was here in the torso. With the way you have the body turned, this is where, and you can see with the way you did the clothes, this arm and this shoulder and the way they connect is like perfect. That's how that would connect to the torso shape right here. However, this other shoulder sticks out a bit too far considering the turn of the body. So if you brought sort of this up here, because he's turned away from you. So the middle of it would be about here. And it's going like this sort of shape. Mm-hmm. So you can see the shoulder should be in more to fit with the turn of the body. Like if I turn my body like this.
Right, like the shoulder would be a little bit hidden by like the chest.
Because you have currently,
by the cage of the chest.
The width of this shoulder comes out actually further than the shoulder that's towards us. And it should be the same distance or a little bit less actually, given the turn. Mm-hmm. So that's, again, another easy fix. Like I think if you just crank that arm in a little bit, and then you could have it come down, you know, the exact same way, basically, just a bit more in.
Yeah.
And that whole shape is going to work better.
Can I give a little note that Absolutely. I just noticed? So I'm just going to do it from here. We're not going to switch seats. So the way that your shoulder sits.
It might be kind of difficult, but we'll try.
So you have your shoulder, you have your neck, which sits into your trapezius, which goes into your back, and then you have your collarbones that point to, because some people have collarbones that stick out here. You can see the little shoulder bone. Jacob does. So you can see like
my whole bone.
It goes to the top of the shoulder. So the way that this would sit, you know, this one's going up because this character is going up like this. This would actually slope down still.
Yeah.
So if you want to push it a little bit more, you have this trapezius coming down where this trapezius starts. That would line up the trapezius, and then you push it down a little bit because then the collarbones would be going up and like, so you could even push it just a little bit like that, you know?
Absolutely. I find that
it doesn't even have to be that dramatic, but
the collarbones are a great guideline.
Yeah.
For where the shoulders should go. Like I usually, from the neck, I will draw the collarbones in next.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going head down, I'll draw the collarbones in next to give myself a roadmap for where the shoulders and chest should kind of go.
I want to get my water.
Get
Do you
your
want
water.
anything?
Could use my water.
Okay.
To give you an example of that, actually, which I can do right now, if this is a neck here, and you kind of can make the spot where the collarbones meet, kind of right here in the middle. And then I'll usually like make one kind of longer and I'll make one a little shorter. And it's like, that just gives me like just that. You can tell the entire rotation and position of this, this body here. And then you kind of know which directions things should move from there. And it's all because of like this little shape, like depending on where you put it. If you do it straight, where both sides are the same, then this person's going to be facing you. And if you do it where this side's a little longer than this side, this person's turned kind of way over this way. So you can kind of, go from there. But that's a guiding point that I use a lot, is like this line, this V.
Yeah. Another
of the collarbones.
Fun fact that I learned from anatomy / observation is if you want to draw this neckline that sometimes I love to draw it for some reason, it just gives some more lines to throw into a cylindrical shape. You have this muscle here. This muscle starts in this pocket here. So if you have someone looking to the side, you go straight up because it wraps up and goes behind your ear because it's what helps pull and push your head. It's like what helps it rotate. So if you ever want to draw like a dramatic thing or like a shape to cut, just add a little more dynamics, you can just put that there. Sometimes I put just a little indicator like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I always stick a line there too.
Yeah.
It's a good spot for a line. Vieweggs asked, I struggled with the shoes and grasping hand the most. Any suggestions? I have suggestions.
Jacob's better at feet than me, so.
I've actually worked on feet a lot recently. And one of the things that I learned the most, that is a thing that a lot of people don't do and I didn't do for a long time. And I will show you now.
I hurt my ear doing that demonstration. I pulled too much. I tried to exaggerate this muscle too much, and now this whole like muscle in here hurts.
That's pathetic.
I know.
So a lot of things that people kind of mess up on with feet is they don't make the heel come back enough. That's a weird way to say that. But what I'm getting at is the foot has to like anchor your whole body and balance you out. The heel actually comes back more than you think.
Yeah, because it tapers into your Achilles tendon, and then you in the middle there you have that ankle bone, and then it comes back out because you need to sit your weight back a little bit. Like you can rock back onto something like a ball.
Yes. Another thing to do that helps is to root the foot down, because when you're standing with your heels planted on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So at this sort of like angle we're at here,
right,
the toes are going to come down further, but you still want horizontal lines where the toes hit the ground and where the heel hits the ground.
Because your foot is squishy and it is round, but that's because you're looking at it while it's in the air.
Yes.
If it's on the ground, it's holding your whole weight, so it's going to squish and become flat.
Yeah, it becomes flat when it's on the ground, and you can use that shape to sort of flatten out those heels. And with this foot and this angle, it's basically the same thing, just at a more extreme angle. You want to make sure you bring the heel down so that it would be a shape that it like flattens onto the ground. And then you can do the same with the front part and flatten this out like this. And this is even still, you see I'm like curving the toes back up to indicate that the foot is flat. So you want to be sure you bring the heel down far enough and then bring the toes down and flatten them out as well. The toes will curve back up like this.
Someone said a very cryptic message. It's heat swell or hurt swell. I don't know why I'm looking over there. Whatever. It's one of those. They said, my food is wide and awful. And that sounds so cryptic.
That does sound very cryptic. My food is wide and awful. A thing you can do to really help you with feet, unsurprisingly, is draw shoes from a variety of angles. Shoes really kind of, the shape of shoes makes it a lot more geometrically easy to understand than the shape of a foot. Feet themselves are really complicated.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because Heart Swell responded to my food is wide and awful.
Oh, okay.
And it was making me laugh while I was listening.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is draw shoes Julia, do you agree with me?
Yeah, draw shoes. Keep drawing shoes a lot. My favorite
feet
to draw
are,
boots.
Feet are complicated.
Yeah.
Shoes are less complicated. They take a complicated part of the body and make it into a shape that is consistent.
Yeah.
When it's standing on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you do that, and you can already see if you just look here, and I'll make this a little lower so you can really tell. But you can tell that this figure looks more weighted in the scene. Like it looks like he's standing here for real on a ground surface.
Right.
So really grounding the heels, I think, is where that was like your major sort of mistake here, was not grounding the heels.
I think another tip that, you know, is a trap that I think it's just something that people don't think about. It's just like a reflex, is that you know that your foot gets smaller, and people are just like, yeah, your foot gets smaller, it gets to a point.
Yeah.
But on shoes and boots, there's still a thickness. Like there's a thickness to your toes, and then you have the thickness of the sole underneath and a little bit of room so you can wiggle your toes. So a lot of the times, like Jacob just did, he squared off the toes on the foot.
Yeah.
So, you know, it gives a more like concrete. And not all shoes do that. You know, you can see the pointed toe shoes that make it look longer.
Yeah, you have to account for the geometry of the different shoe, but
yeah.
It definitely is helpful.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just a lot of like practice.
I think another thing, and this is just something that I like to do.
You want this?
Yeah. And I noticed that you did it with the boots here. Is that you drew the boots coming up and off.
Do you want to like bring this up under like this?
Is bad
go
no matter where
over
you,
or under?
No matter where you cut it, it's fine.
Go under.
So you have kind of like the thickness of the shoe because there's material there. Do that with this too. Do that with this belt. Give it a little bit. There's a thickness to it. You know, it's like a thick leather belt. It's gonna have some thickness there. It's not gonna be, you know, spray painted or painted to the clothes unless it is.
I do think, to be fair, in the She-Ra style,
oh yes,
clothing is actually just like flat to the body.
That's true.
So,
but it's just in general, I think that people,
yeah, it's a good general rule.
People don't, you know, add a lot of like that. So then you have like the body, and then you have this layer of clothes, and then you have that layer of clothes, and then you go back. Also, just another thing anatomically, the back of the thigh here is going to go into the butt. Nice. And that's a fact.
And that's a fact.
So if you don't be scared to give them thighs and a little bit of thickness.
People are saying remember thickness.
Remember thickness. Remember this thickness. You know, have that thigh be a little meatier. You know, it's what powers this whole human a little bit. So it's going to be meaty, it's going to be thicky.
Power your body.
Power your body, you know. Like this thigh is really nice and thick. You know, give this thigh a little bit of thickness. Remember that this, you know, shape here is sitting in front of, again, just like this arm, this shape here. So really lean in and show that it's receding back there.
Are you saying, Julia?
Yeah.
If I may.
Yeah.
You got to draw the underwear.
You got to draw the underwear.
This will tell you if this leg is like this and this one's like this. Look at this beautiful underwear. You know now exactly where they need to be coming out of.
Yeah.
Because you see like the leg ports.
Right.
They come out of these underwear slots.
Because that's how your pelvis works anyway. It's a ball joint.
Yeah. And the one that curves up like this is always going to be the leg in front. And the one that curves down like this is going to be the one that's in the back.
Yeah. This is a great piece. Thank you so much for sending it. These are just our little thoughts for you.
Yeah. You did great work, V-Wags. Do you want to do another one? I assume we'll just go to like 11:30.
Sure.
15 more minutes. I'm going to find another one. I guess I could leave that up.
I have to write emails after this.
While I'm looking for the next one. Gotta go here. Gotta go here. Here. No. Here.
There you go.
Got it. All right. Let's see. Could do this one.
I have some lighting and color notes I could do for this one if you wanted.
And I've got some anatomy notes.
Do you want to tackle the anatomy and then I'll do the color?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll have to do a seat change with you when I do the color notes.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. We're kind of just going in chronological order of how these were sent in.
Yeah.
And then like seeing which ones have something pop out. So this one's from at Last Lace Cafe, Maddie. Let me get all my stuff back up here. Which I think this is a very pretty piece.
It's a beautiful piece.
I love the light and the color and the glow. And there are some things about this too that I really like that I will also point out. I mean, I'm talking anatomy-wise specifically because that's what I'll be addressing.
I love the tilt of the face.
I think there are things that work really well here anatomy-wise, and then things that are a little fudged. So we're gonna go get into it. I'm gonna do my favorite redlining trick, and we're gonna see what works here and what does not. The angle of the face I do very much like, but if we make the circle here, if we summon the circle of the head, and we make the line of the face, which goes about this way and curves around like this, we run into an issue with the ear and the angle of the eyes. The way the face is tilted, the ear should be either a little bit higher for this angle, or the eyes should be a little bit lefted. So for example here, if the face is tilted like this, and I'll show you on my own head again. Let me get it facing the same way. If I tilt my face up and back, this ear goes higher. And then it goes lower the more back I go. But so does the angle of the eyes. So you gotta keep those things in check. So the ear could go like right here, and that would work, and then the other ear would kind of be down here, like this, coming out. But that was the first thing I noticed. You could also, if you wanted to keep the ear at the same place, then we could go like this way. But then this eye should be tilted a bit more down. And a lot of these things too, you can easily fix.
Go ahead, keep going.
What's going on? A lot of these things are a lot easier to notice with the age-old artist trick of the flip. You can give this thing a canvas flip, and this stuff will pop right out at you.
Give it the old flip.
So if we flip it, it becomes very clear to me that the eye angle and the ear. Julia, do you agree with me on this?
Yeah.
That the eye angle and the ear are not quite positioned correctly in relationship to one another. And that becomes a lot clearer. But I do like that you pushed the angle of the face so that it's very clear like what direction things are supposed to be going in here.
There's
with
also
just a little bit of a higher ear, you'd have a perfect little... I drew right on the dang thing with that.
There's also the whole thing about, you know, cheating it a bit to push it. And you can do that. It's just, if you cheat it to push it, you kind of got to do it consistently.
Totally. So if we bring that around, it just hits a little bit higher for that ear. And then the nose, and then the mouth would be here, and the angle of that would be ever so slightly different as well.
Oh, so slightly.
Then the neck I really like, and the shoulders awesome. I really like.
Yeah,
the shoulders you really got good. this beautiful line, and you worked out the angle perfectly so that it hits that line to show exactly the way that should go. Arms here are good, and the torso also very good. This shoulder again, the far shoulder comes out a bit far compared to its position. It should be a little bit more tucked into the body because again it's an angled torso. The torso is angling this away.
Unless the shoulders are going forward, but then you would have to
You'd have to
roll the
account
shape
for
a little
that.
bit.
Account for that in other
You would have to
ways.
make it a curve and not a straight line.
Then we've got where the leg would connect here, which kind of makes, you know how I like to say the underwear.
The underwear.
It's just good to draw where the thighs connect to the hips.
Where's the underwear?
Then one thing here that I've noticed in doing this, this elbow actually is a bit low.
Yeah, because it would go higher.
It would go higher because it's bent back.
It's a hinge.
Yeah, you made it the same length, this arm as this arm, but this elbow is bent, so it has to account for that lost space somewhere. So it might even like, and I'll just give, this is just like an example, but obviously, you know, it's your art. You can do whatever you want. You might even like bend it backwards like here, back behind the figure. So that this is the leg here. You can bend the shoulder back and have it be like that. Tucked away behind the body a bit to account for that bend.
Where's the leg?
And then we've got this leg here, which is a little bit long as well. The shin, what do you call this lower part of the leg?
Shin.
I think it would hit a little bit shorter, but that might just be because, again, and this is the problem I was just talking about with V-Wags' feet. Sorry, V-Wag, not your feet. The heel. The heel here has not been fully accounted for. The heel of the foot would show up here, and then it would come out like this.
I think it's tucking behind the other leg. Doing like a wee, like a crossed feet.
Then in that case, this foot should cut in front of the other foot.
Yeah, a little bit more. You gotta push it so it really reads.
And getting to there as well, if you're crossing this foot behind, it would be higher up. So if this were a leg over here, you'd have the knee be a little bit, and I'm gonna do another adjustment here. If you were sitting with your legs like this and we're gonna cross them, this thigh would go a little bit lower, pass behind this leg here, and then it would cross up here, and the foot would actually hit higher up.
Yeah.
Based on the angle of the leg. So then if you wanted to do that, you could cross the foot like this and have it come out in front, and then it becomes very clear. And that would make sense then why that heel is not there. So if I take this off, see what I mean?
So it really reads.
This leg comes down a little lower, crosses behind, and it crosses right in front very clearly, so that you don't have any confusion in leg town.
Leg town.
But yeah, I thought you did a really good job with this piece. I don't even know if you're here in chat.
Me neither.
But I thought maybe you'll watch the VOD later, if not. But I thought you did a really good piece here. I really like the shapes of it and the pushed pose. And I like the shape of the hair.
On the unofficial YouTube channel forever.
Ain't that the truth?
On Twitch for like 2
And I really
weeks.
like these eye shapes too.
Eye shapes are really nice.
I thought were very nice. Might learn a little something myself from these eye shapes.
She's here.
And the nose is great too. I think you did great on the face, great on the hair.
Last lace.
I think you only started losing some of the pose the further down you went, which just means you need to work on that area more.
Yeah, and it's just like and this is a hard thing to get through, is just like when something is at an angle, it's going to, like if you have your hands side by side, same size, and like tips of the fingers line up, but if you angle it, it's no longer going to meet at the same place or end at the same place. So, you know, if things crisscross, one's going to be a little bit shorter than the other. But that's it.
Yeah, but you did an excellent job. This is
this is awesome.
I'm now editorializing your drawing. I just wanted to see what it would look like with one of the hands.
You submitted it for tips. We giving you tips.
With one of the hands up, maybe a slightly different hand position.
Oh,
there.
now Jacob's just gotten artsy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just kind of having fun now because I think it's a cool pose. I like it, so I kind of want to do.
You know, someone likes it when they start playing with it and making it their own.
Yeah, maybe just having a little hand up pose, like oh, I see the sun.
Hand action.
Did you want to jump in and do some color stuff, Julia?
Yeah.
Don't be dirty.
What are you talking about? With the color?
Get in there. Do some work around here.
It's me. It's me. I'm here. I need your glove.
Pomegranate said, y'all, I just want to say this is a fantastic stream, and I personally would love more chill art streams like this in the future. I think a lot of people would. We had over 800 viewers for a lot of this, so
yeah,
that's them's good numbers.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna unflip it.
Oh yeah, unflip it.
All right, so I'm here to talk lighting and color. That's what I'm here for. So I love the soft lighting here.
Oh, apparently we were the top art stream.
All right.
Honk that horn, baby.
Cat. She was expecting the window to be open, and she face planted into the window, and it was very funny.
All of you dang Dorcas.
Tenario, thank you for the sub. So, if you want to emphasize a bright light, you got to have dark shadows, because the brighter the light, the darker the shadows. To show how strong one thing is, you have to show how strong its opposite is.
Damn,
dude.
That's true, though.
So we're outside. We're surrounded by a lot of greens, but so it'd be mostly, well, we have a kind of a purpley palette happening here.
Well, we're in like a sunset environment.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go a little bit purpley. So let's say, where do I want to start? Let's go with the wall. The wall's the easiest one to start with.
We were the top art stream by 500 viewers.
Oh, damn.
So, I don't want to say we're the most popular people on Twitch.
We're the most popular people on Twitch.
But I think we are.
So, do you have, you do. Do you have all the brushies?
I have all the brushies.
Okay.
You should probably go into the brush drop-down menu.
Yeah.
Oh, you go weird. You can just go click on the brush over there and do it. Top left.
Yeah, I like to have them all out because I'll probably start playing around.
You've made more panels for me to deal with.
I'll close them when I'm done.
You've done a crime to my Photoshop layout. My clean minimalist.
You've seen my Photoshop. You know how few.
My Swedish minimalism Photoshop aesthetic.
Okay. So, I just chose a soft brush because everything's kind of soft here, and I'm just going to cheat it to be a little bit faster.
Big truck.
So, I'm going to do this on a new layer too. So, because everything's warm, I went over here to this little palette of mine that I love so much. And you can go, since we're doing something kind of purpley, you can go to like the red or the blue. And this will basically just give you a very specific palette. Where as you get closer to this corner, it's blue, as you can see if I bring it all the way up. But we want to go darker, so we're going there. So, to show how bright this light is, to really give it some emphasis, don't be scared to go darker. To give it some contrast here. So, and, you know, as we go away from the thing that's causing the shadow, it's going to dissipate a little bit. So, the part that's sitting is this butt, right? This is the part that's coming up off the wall. So, more trucks. So, it's going to be the thickest there. And then we're going to soften up. What's up?
Crochet Rabbit just said a nice point, which said, something I noticed in one of my classes that constantly had colored lights on was that when you have extremely saturated lights, the shadows will be the opposite color on the wheel. Presumably it works for less saturated colored lights as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But you'll also notice it just in a lot of art, warm light, cool shadow.
Yeah.
That's why you got a lot of oranges and blues, oranges and purples, yellow and blue, yellow and whatever.
A blanket rule that you can start off with if you're kind of overwhelmed with color is that if you want something to stand out and make it closer and more noticeable, have it be a brighter color, like a warmer color, like a red. If you want it to go into the background and recede, have it be a blue. So if you want something to be in the middle, that means combine the two colors. You got purple, put it in the middle. Eyes will gravitate towards warmer colors. And then we're gonna pull out some shadow or some lights here just for some shinies. So we're already just getting some brightness there. I think also when you go with, like, especially on fair skin, if you're gonna do like a bright light source, go with white. You want to use white sparingly because, you know, it's going to be the thing that draws the eye. But like, your face is oily, so light is going to reflect and be a little bit shiny. So you're gonna get these highlights. So like cheeks,
tip of the nose,
maybe the top of the eyelid a little bit. That's facing towards the light source. As you, I saw that you did it. See, I saw that you have a little bit of light here, and then it goes into the shadow, which is very cool.
But more,
push it. And then just gonna get this via soft brush.
One general rule for when you're adding these kind of highlights is that you can do this thing Julia's doing where you have a hard edge on one side and a tapered edge on the other side.
It's a very cool look.
Of the light.
Yeah.
So like you'll notice like on the, she's now like cleaning up or taking off a bit from the side that would go further away from the light source.
Yeah.
Like it hits and you have a hard edge where the light hits. And then as it moves away, I feel like I'm saying this really badly. As it moves away, that light tapers off. So you have like a hard edge and then a soft edge.
Another important thing that I think that took me a while to kind of figure out is that, you know, you think light's coming from the side, so you have the highlight be like hard against the line. But in order to show that something is round, don't have everything meet at that line. So you'll most likely have a mid-tone out here, because like I have a light that's right there and it's hitting me here. You still see that there's a little bit of like mid-tone here. The brightest part is like here on my shoulder, right? And you can see that on my face too. It's like darker here and darker here. That's because I have a round head. So you're going to have the highlight here and then it's going to go around. And I'm not saying that like all the time, but there's always exceptions.
You also typically want to add more and brighter highlights to the area that you want people to focus on.
Yeah.
So like putting highlights on the face draws the eye towards the face, which is sort of the focal point of the drawing. So that's another hot tip.
Yeah.
And it just happens to coincide with like how it works in real life too. The face has a lot of highlight points.
Another tip is that your head is a solid shape, so it's going to cast some shadow, especially if it's a very strong light. So you can always play with that a little bit. I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but it's kind of fun. It's some kind of fun thing. Kind of a fun thing right there.
Kind of a fun thing right there.
You know, so it like cuts a little bit, and then, you know, the chest shape here is going to cause a harder shadow here.
Owl Bears just said, whoa, that purple just made the whole thing pop. And yeah, adding in some stronger shadows really makes the highlights of a thing pop out. Just gives it a lot more contrast and vibrancy.
Yeah.
And those color shadows like this, like a purple shadow, can contribute to the whole color thing of the piece. Color, what's the word I'm looking for? The color language of the piece you're doing.
Yeah.
So you might want to echo those purples again in like maybe the trees, maybe the dark forest.
Yeah. And again, the one consistent rule of art is consistency. So if you have purples being the shadow for, you know, the person, purples are going to be the shadows for the trees. And I'm going to address the trees in a second because trees are hard. And I just have a general tip. Another thing is that with folds, also we can like push, we can give a little emphasis to this shape here.
Oh, can we talk about ambient occlusion?
Sure, we can talk about ambient occlusion.
That's something you should consider too.
Are you talking about, yeah, okay.
I'm talking about the places where there will be shadows regardless of light source. like in a neutral lighting scenario, there are places where shadows will be. That's like inside of folds, inside of the ear, unless you're like shining a light directly into your ear.
Yeah.
Inside your nostrils. Those areas, like the armpit, like an area that creates a natural shadow. Those should be considered as well. And like when you brought up folds, you just reminded me that regardless of the angle of light in this picture, that fold in like the middle of her toga is always going to be shadowed.
Right.
Because light's not going to get in there unless you're really trying to get light in there.
Right. Also, generally, because the light is closer to her head, as you go down, on this woman.
You're the dirty one today.
I didn't know how else to phrase it. As
You're
you go
the dirty
further
one.
away from the light source on this woman, you are going to get a little bit darker because it's going away from the light. Still means there's going to be a lot of bounce, but you're generally not going to have as many highlights, and it's just going to get a little bit darker.
It's just Joy.
Oh, okay.
Futzing around on your table.
Cool. Something that I wanted to talk about that I meant to talk about before is folds in clothes. Remember that folds in clothes happen because clothing is going in and out in front of each other. Joy's in my lap. There you go. You know, the cloth is going around, and because cloth is very soft, it creates a lot of, curves. So that means that shadows are going to be very soft on it unless you have a really hard light. So she's attacking the cable. Anyway, so you're going to have, so if the light's coming from here, because because it's kind of folding in this way, this part is going to have a shadow.
You really just have to consider the individual shapes of each area.
Yeah.
And try to think as best you can in three-dimensional space when you're thinking about those shapes.
So like that's lights going to pops.
That's lights going to pops. Okay.
The other thing,
come on,
is bounce light. It's not actually what it's called, but I've said enough dirty things today.
Bounce.
Where light will bounce off from something that is getting light. So like I'm getting some bounce light here, even though the light isn't really hitting it, and it's because it's bouncing off my shoulders and hitting this. So like here, light's going to be bouncing off the hand, it's going to be bouncing off the wall, it's going to be bouncing off the grass, and it's going to be hitting this. And so it's not going to be completely dark down there.
Just watching you shake your head at the things you say.
Realized
it's not going to be completely dark down there. As you go down on this, girl.
As you go down,
understand it's not going to be completely dark down there.
Damn it! God damn it! I'm sorry, everyone. But yeah, it's going to be doing that.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
It makes it more dramatic. It really shows that the light is that strong. Again, go brighter, go lighter. Go do with the soft little brush. Do a little do some real, push it. So with the Dr. Math Dad gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Who are you?
So with the trees here, this bark, don't be afraid to go all the way dark.
Go dark on the bark.
Because here's the thing.
Remember thickness.
I can see that you were worried about going so dark here because you were worried about losing the shapes, like between the leaves and the bark here. But now that you know about bounce light, you're going to go back in, you're going to pull some of this color, not the brightest, but somewhere in the middle tone. And you're going to include some of that bounce. And you're still going to get the dramatic light of the stuff underneath. Or you're still going to get like the dramatic shadow of like, this is how bright this light is. But it's also like, this is how bright this light is. It's bouncing light onto the tree. Like that's how strong it is, you know? So you're getting the drama of the light in the shadow, but you're not losing the shape.
Boom. There was a specific question.
Also, you can do like some fun tricks here about leaves. With the leaves popping in, just start pulling shapes out. Yeah.
The Elegant Raven, and I think other people too, didn't quite get how you got your color picker to look like it did.
So, when you're in Photoshop, or you're in even Procreate has it. Usually it starts on that little circle. Your color palette usually looks like this, right? So usually this is where I start off my colors from. Like I'll start here for if I'm doing my skin tone. If I'm doing my skin tone, I'll do that. But nice. Me in the middle of the summer, I'm somewhere around here. A little bit warmer. Then if I'm like, okay, I'm outside. When you're outside, because of atmosphere, everything has a little tint of blue. You have that little tint of blue that affects, atmospheric perspective, it's called. Things that recede into the atmosphere. So things will lose its saturation, its definition, its brightness because of air.
Because of the sky, y'all. The sky is blue.
The atmosphere is blue. So
you ever look up there?
The further you're looking down, the more atmosphere you're seeing packed. So it's going to block stuff in the background, so that usually you can take some of the sky and fade it into distant mountains. That's usually what I do.
Thank you for gifting a sub, the Pirate Pie.
Thank you very much. So I'm like, okay, I want some blue. I go over, so you see HSB, and then there's RGB. This is if you want to tint something red. You can see that this bottom color here is red. Something if you want to go green. This is if you want to do blue. So if I want blue, I usually go diagonally towards the blue, because it's like you're going towards the darker color. You're mixing it with what you got. And then I usually just go down to soften it a little bit, because sometimes it can look a little too harsh. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't mix that nicely. So I usually play around and find like a happy medium. And that's how I get like these colors. I should also say one more tip is for things like this, if they're getting a lot of light, that's when you could just be really sharp with your, well, maybe not that dark. That's when you can be really sharp with your vine colors, and it'll really make it pop, give it some depth. I feel like this was a really good one to pull up because it was really doing some next level stuff.
That gave us a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and it was nice to be able to like
it was a good
show
example
some tips on next level stuff.
Of one that was already like really good.
Yeah.
And like a perfect canvas to be like, here's that just like next little thing you can do.
Also, you kind of move light like you do that 1 point perspective. Light source is coming here. Here's the flower. Here's the other edge of that flower. And also follow shapes. Like, when this is coming around this vine, I usually just curve it because the vine is curved.
Can I show one last little tricky trick?
Yeah, I do just want to do one more thing because I was.
Julia's going to paint this whole damn picture, and no one can stop her.
I'm going to start relocating the hand and doing some artistic license with the hand and just doing some real art experiments for myself.
My segment was not nearly as long.
There.
Oh, that looks really good.
Yeah, just push it a little bit.
Can you do a quick pop on, pop off again just to show? So like here's the original, and then look at the amount of pop. Look at the amount of pop. This is hop on pop.
I do want to just very, very quickly. I want to try something.
This is an interesting strategy.
I was just thinking for like atmospheric perspective, adding that little bit of that fade. It doesn't even have to be that dramatic, but when you put that atmospheric perspective and just fading the back colors a little bit, it can give everything that's in the front a little bit of pop, because we added that blue. Like I said, everything that's cool goes into the background. So I added a blue on top. It knocked the background back and popped to this character a little forward. So it's that bright blue that I used is on 12%, and it did this.
It's just a little something
change.
something.
Yeah. You wanted to try something?
Yeah, I just had one last little thing, and then we can be done since it's almost midnight. Those are some good ass tips, though, Julia.
Thanks. Color was super hard for me, and I think it only clicked a little bit in like senior year of college.
The last thing I wanted to say, just because I noticed it while Julia was drawing, and it's something that I've only just started to get comfortable with, but it actually does make a pretty big difference. If you're working in like a painterly style, which this is kind of flirting with, a thing that can kind of take you out of a more painterly styled piece is the blackness of these black lines.
Right.
Because like this is in bright lighting, and these lines are so like thick and dark.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to add an extra step to your process when you're sort of done with your coloring. Just to put a layer on top and literally paint over the whole thing.
Yeah, with that clipping layer we talked about before. That's how you can experiment with it.
You can even single layer it, like as if you were a traditional painter.
Yeah.
And you can come in and you can paint over some of these lines, like with the same, color you were using here. I need to make a layer that this will work on. And so you can do this, and then you can start seeing where these colors actually meet. Like where this arm meets the white here, and it's like this is a bit too similar. So it's like, okay, let's take some of this purple. Let's get some of that shadow in there.
Because again, it curves.
Because it curves.
So you're going to be a little bit in shadow.
But even just at the basic level of saying these things need to contrast more.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do what you did. Well, I need actually the where's my baby, the soft round pressure opacity, my sweet baby boy that gets a lot of flack. So you can do stuff like this, and if you just look at this arm right here now, it looks like it all fits the atmosphere. And then it might say like, well, then if the arm is here, shouldn't this kind of be in shadow a little bit as well? And you can kind of take hints from the way this works, and sort of turn your piece into more of a painting and get rid of some of those lines. You can also go on top with sort of a layer if you want to like mess with layer modes a bit, and you can have like the light hit on top of the lines, and that was like one touch, but like it makes it glow. Like she's getting hit with the evening sun, and I didn't even do anything to that. That's a normal layer.
Shiny.
One little bloop, and it kind of adds this this effect, and then you can adjust the opacity to your whims, but it kind of pushes those black lines back a bit.
I think also to Jacob's point is that there's a lot of like, that's the reason why if you ever look at a still frame of a Disney movie or poster or anything, is that they almost never have a black line. Everything is like a dark brown or a navy blue, or it's something that is just like a darker shade of whatever it's touching. So like Belle's village dress where she's wearing the white and blue, if you look at for the outlines on the outside, it's a darker blue than what's on the dress, and that's so that things are a little bit softer.
Yeah, totally.
And that things feel a little bit more, I don't know, soft.
Absolutely. And I mean, this sort of trick is one I use a lot with the big soft round brush on a layer on top of everything, just to get some like cheap and quick like mood.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like an Instagram filter.
It kind of is like that, because then like I can add in some more like, purples over here, sort of away from the light source as you go, and then I can take that layer, stick it on a multiply, and you've got like free shadow here that gives the piece even more depth. It's completely free to do. You can add light, you can add shadow. It's free.
Saccharine salt just taught me something wild. It's that in the infrastructure of Disney World, all the poles are purple and green.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's for the same rule. That's wild. I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Super cool.
Anyways, did you see, Julia?
I did see.
The difference?
It's very cool.
The difference?
Yeah.
The free shadow?
Free shadow.
It's free.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm done with a piece, I'm like, I really need to push it. And then I'll just put like a gradient over it and then lower the opacity a little bit and be like, oh, there it is.
You can totally do that too. That's a thing I like to do as well. Here's fun. Here's fun for you.
Here's fun. Also, Instagram filtery.
It's Instagram filtery, but
it works.
If you're working to get a result and not to be like, you know, hitting America's Next Top Artist, then this is good.
Yeah, I was working on a piece recently. I never finished it. I should go back to it. I'll probably do it tomorrow. Of a hallway. Do you know how much of that piece is just me throwing gradients on things? Is most of it.
You can do... We get like a basic gradient here. Shut up. We can take like... You can take like a bright orange on one color and then get like a purpley thing. Like a dark purpley thing on another color. And you can take a gradient and just go... You need a layer. You can just go... Whap, and then you can just literally walk through the layer styles.
Seizure warning.
We got some screening, that's too bright. Overlay, that's too saturated. Soft light. And then you can make these like adjustments. You could like put it on a soft light layer.
You can go to the hue and saturation bar and adjust it there. Lower
it like halfway. You can have it be full. You can have it be 0. You can open up these adjustment layers. Let me go back to Drawfee here. You can open up adjustment layers. You can bring up like color balance. Color balance is really fun. You ever mess with this?
No.
So you can select midtones, highlights, and shadows.
Oh yeah, I usually do that in the adjustments thing.
Yeah, so say if like I wanted the shadows to be a little bluer, I could go to shadows layer, slide this a little more towards cyan. You can see it adjusting.
It's because it's reading the levels.
You can make the shadows really green. You can make the shadows really yellow. Then it's like, I want the highlights to be warmer. I can go to highlights. Let's push that a little towards red. You can see that changing. Push it a little towards yellow. It makes everything kind of glow. You can literally just go in here and play with these meters and it will like change sort of the whole
deal.
The whole feeling of your piece. You can make it wild. You can be like, I want it to be pink now. I want it to be pink and blue now. This is the new one. Then you can do that. It's fun. Play around.
Play around with it.
That's pretty much it, I guess. Unless you have anything else you want to say of import.
No. We'll probably do another art stream, but we're going to be streaming a design stream tomorrow for charity.
Yes, we're going to be designing our Pride charity shirt tomorrow at 3.
Yep.
So tune in for that.
Shirt sales, everything we earn from the shirt sales will go to the Center for Black Equity. If you want to know what they do, look them up. They do great stuff. They're LGBTQ positive.
That's like their whole thing.
Yeah, working towards a black positive LGBTQ community for the future.
Yes. And for those of you who submitted art that we didn't get to, we only got to a couple pieces. We'll come back to this thread for next time. Cover. Like maybe next time we'll do like a full critique stream.
Yeah.
And we'll just come back to that thread and pick from it. So it could still show up. And feel free to continue adding to that thread if you would like to.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again to
everyone.
This person's whose art we did, Maddie.
Yeah,
at Last Lace Cafe.
They've been in the chat, active, talking.
Yeah, glad you were here. I hope this helped in some kind of way. I think it did. I think it's information I would have liked to know.
Yeah.
But hopefully it was helpful to you as well, and I hope you enjoyed the critique, and thank you for making such a cool piece for us to look at and get into. That's going to be it for us tonight.
We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m.
We'll be
Eastern
back tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Time.
3 p.m. Eastern Time. There's the webcam. And I guess we will see you guys then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.